Welcome to TTBoy TV. Today we have a very interesting guest, right? He's a superstar from the 70s and the 80s. And we're going to find out what it was like being a superstar when it was really special. Being a porn star in those days had a different meaning. So we're going to find out today. Please welcome Richard Pacheco.
Wow, thank you. I was never a superstar. John Leslie was the superstar. I was a star.
Yeah?
I'll take a star, but the super was never me.
Okay. But you won all those acting awards.
I did, but who gave a shit about acting awards in porn?
That's true. I mean, maybe. But it helped the mood. It helped the mood.
Oh, it helped me. I liked it a lot. You know.
But I mean, the good acting compared to today's porno is that the mood was set, and that is important.
Yeah. Well, I worked primarily for Anthony Spinelli, and he was not your everyday pornographer. He lived to make movies,
Yeah.
and his movies had sex in them, as opposed to him making sex movies. There was a difference.
I remember he was a good guy. So, thank you for taking your time. And how old are you right now?
I'm be 76 in a month.
76. What's your birthday?
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo. You're a Taurus.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the Taurus Club. I'm April 30th. But anyways, all right. We have a lot to go over, and I always like to start at the beginning. Okay? So, when were you born?
On Cinco de Mayo, I came into this world, Mike, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, home of the Big Boy Hamburger and Roberto Clemente, who was my idol when I was growing up.
And that's crazy. I didn't know that. I didn't know because it's before my time.
Yeah.
But Pittsburgh, right? And I told you earlier that he went down with my uncle. My uncle was his airplane company.
Clemente was the only magic in Pittsburgh for years until 1960 when the Pirates won the World Series. That was magical because they'd been in last place for every other year in the 50s, and all of a sudden they beat the Yankees in 1960 to win the pennant. That was sweet. That was sweet.
It was all because of Roberto Clemente?
Well, he was young then. That was but he was pissed off because he wasn't elected MVP that year. They gave it to a white guy instead.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Dick Rowe got the MVP, but Clemente figured it was his.
Yeah? Was it his?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I felt that way numerous times, but that's life.
Yeah.
Anyways, so you said what year? Did I miss that?
That was 1960 when the
No, when you were born.
48.
48, okay.
48.
All right, so what kind of childhood did you have? Fun, happy?
Fat. I was fat. There are two interesting things about my childhood. One is that I was fat, and two is that I was raised with a mentally retarded uncle in my house. When I was 4 years old, my grandmother died. She had been taking care of him, and he was my mother's brother. So when Grandma passed, he came to live with us. I had an older brother who was 6 years older than me, and I was the baby. And then this guy came to live with us, and he was batshit crazy.
Really?
His name was Izzy, Uncle Izzy. And he had one tooth in his uppers and a twinkle in his eye. And he would look you in the eye and say, "I can't say Perry." And you say, "What?" "I can't say Perry. It's hard." I'd say Harry Como. I watch Harry Como on television and Harry Mason. I can't say Perry. And this was he was the center of life in our house. Because at the dinner table, we could not discuss the finer points of Shakespeare or American foreign policy. Because Izzy would say something and we'd all be laughing. And it got a little rough when we took him outside of the house. Because you'd be standing in line at the bank with him or something, and an adult would start talking to him. And you'd wonder, how long is it going to take for this other person to realize that the elevator in this guy doesn't go up to the top floor? And pretty soon he'd know that something wasn't quite right. But that was one of the major parts of my childhood, helping to take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great reward in the end for my life because it taught me the absolute silliness of everything, period.
Wow. That makes sense.
In fact, the movie that made my career in the adult world was playing a person who was very much like him. In the movie Talk Dirty to Me and Nothing to Hide, which was its sequel, I played a guy who is a street urchin who is befriended by John Leslie, who was like a big brother type. And he takes me in to live with him and take care of him. And I was playing my Uncle Izzy.
Is that when he died?
Yeah. In fact, I'll tell you that story. About 5 days before we're going to start shooting Talk Dirty. Oh, actually, it goes back to when I meet Sam Weston. And I had gained a bit of a reputation as an actor. So everybody says you got to meet Sam Weston, Anthony Spinelli. He makes the best movies. He's the best director. Okay, so I meet Spinelli. And we talk. And somehow I bring up Izzy, and I'm telling him about Uncle Izzy. And he says to me, I used to live on a street where there was a guy like that. His name was Melvin. And the whole street took care of him. And I always wanted to make a movie about a guy like that. And I walk in on Spinelli's life. I could do that part with my eyes closed. So, okay, we start to make the movie. It's going to be called Talk Dirty to me, and it's about this guy that gets adopted by a big brother type. And we're all set to make the movie. And we're throwing a party about 5 days before shooting is going to start. It's a big deal. Annette Haven is there. Juliet Anderson is there. Michael Morrison is there. John Leslie is there.
What year might this be?
Pardon me?
What year is this?
This is 1978, 77, 78.
Okay.
And my wife and I are showing off. We had lived with some foodie type people. So we made a gourmet dinner. We had a beef Wellington and a dacquoise and French wines. We're just showing off. And John Leslie and Annette Haven are, they're kind of just bitching on each other. And they do this routine where they kind of just torture each other. And it's funny. And they had us all laughing. And we're all drunk. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. And the phone rings. Oh, it's my house. So I go and answer the phone. It's my dad calling from Pittsburgh. And my dad's crying. Oh, I had never heard my father cry, ever. He's calling to tell me that there's been a death in the family. Uncle Izzy has just died. Oh. Okay, so my wife goes back in the other room and tells Sam and John and Annette and everybody, I just had a death in the family. And you guys should go. And it's okay. And they're getting ready to leave, and I go up to Sam. I go, Sam, it was Izzy that died. And he said, oh. Now, you know what's involved. You're making a movie. You spend a lot of money in pre-production, getting ready, everything.
Well, people don't know that as much as they knew it back in your time.
Yeah.
Because you're shooting film and you're doing rehearsals and you're taking a lot of time and effort.
Right.
Big script, right?
Yeah, so you put out a lot of money before you get on the set to begin with. And Sam has done that. And he needs to know, am I going to be there? Because I got to go home for the funeral, I'm thinking. And it turns out in Orthodox Judaism, when somebody dies, you put them in the ground like 10 minutes later. It's fast.
Wow, really?
So even if I left at 7 o'clock in the morning the next day, I couldn't make it home in time for the funeral. And my parents tell me, don't come. Oh, okay. So I don't come. And long story short, I decide to go ahead and make the movie. It'll be my homage to my Uncle Izzy. All right. So we start shooting the movie. And I have to digress here because when I first was asked by Sam to play this part, he said, you're going to work with John Leslie. And I had met John Leslie and thought he was one of the world's larger assholes. I did not want to work with John Leslie. When I first met him, well, it's a long story. I'll move along. But anyway, I agreed to work with him because Sam wants me to work with him. And it turns out there's a crying scene in the movie. And we're going to shoot John Leslie playing the blues harp with a picture window over his shoulder of San Francisco Bay, Alcatraz. And I'm sitting next to him, and I'm crying because none of the girls want to fuck me. And John's trying to get some of the girls that want him, which is all of them, to throw me a fuck. And none of them will. I don't want to fuck the idiot. And he gets mad at them for calling me an idiot. So that's the scene. And we're going to shoot that. We're going to use natural light at sunset, which means maybe we got 1 take or 2 takes, period. And we start to shoot this scene. And I'm doing my lines. I'm crying, which is no problem because I'm fresh with a death in my family. And cut. And Sam comes up to me. The crew starts applauding. How often do you hear that in a porn film? Sam comes up to me, takes my face in his hands, and says, "We're going to go again right now. Only this time, just let it out. Let it out, okay?" And action. John's playing the blues harp, which he was fantastic at. I didn't know that. He was a great blues harp player. And I'm
A blues harp?
harmonica.
Harmonica, okay.
And I'm doing my lines. The lines are coming out of my mouth, and the tears are coming out of my eyes, but I'm not there. I'm in my head. And in my head, I see my dead uncle come out from behind the clouds. And he says to me, "It's okay. Go ahead. Use it." And cut. Cut. Sam's got a big smile on his face. He's happy. I don't know what happened. It's the only time in my life I ever understood acting. And I didn't even know if I approved of it. It reminded me of the Middle Ages. I was a historian. They used to, when theater troops would come through the European towns, the church people would tar and feather them and throw them out because their sin to the medieval mind was they played with life. You don't play with life.
That's heavy stuff.
So the movie, and then in the end, the movie comes out and it's a big hit. But before the movie came out, Vinny and Arnie from New Jersey are the producers. They own the movie. And they see the rough cut. And they go to Sam. "Sam, fucking kids crying in the movie. We don't want any fucking crying scenes in a fucking movie. What's wrong with you? Get this shit out." And Sam is saying, "No, well, the arc of the story, and it's got no, cut this out of the movie." And they cut it out. And Sam is screaming, "They tore the guts out of the movie." Well, even without that scene in the movie is this giant hit because it was different. It wasn't just sex. It was something, for one thing, it made John Leslie's character really likable, which was a problem because he didn't treat women all that well. This showed him a tender side of John Leslie.
In real life, he didn't treat him, or on the movies?
In the movies. In the
okay.
movies. He always played a macho guy, and women all fall at his feet, which is true. They did that off camera, too.
Yeah.
But John loved me as the character. He didn't like Howie at all, but he liked Lenny because Lenny was his buddy he took care of. But Howie in Berkeley he would piss on. Women's liberation, John would laugh for half an hour. But we found each other. And the ending to the story, because it's a good one, we're all done with the movie, and I've really come to think a lot. I like John a lot. And I said to him, we were in a hotel, we were checking out of the hotel, when he and I were in this room, and I said to him, "John, I really love you." And he said, "What?" I said, "I really love you." He said, "You want to fuck me?" I said, "No, I don't want to fuck you." He said, "Well, then calm the fuck down."
Lenny, wasn't that the name of Mice and Men or something?
Yes, the same names from Steinbeck's of Mice and Men, Jack and Lenny.
Was it the same idea?
No,
okay. But
they stole that much of it. They stole.
Okay. All right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those emotions are the method acting if you can pull them out, right?
Well, we began with the climax. That was my best moment ever in front of a camera because it was happening by itself.
Mm-hmm.
I was just there. I was as much a witness as somebody in the audience. And then the fact that it never went in the movie, I call them up and say, "Can I have the footage?" Because, "Oh, sure, we don't care. Come get it." So before I can come down there, Sam and them had a 3-picture deal going in. Now they can't be in the same room with each other. So this movie is a hit. This is making money. John wins Best Actor. I win Best Supporting Actor. Talk Dirty wins Best Picture in New York and in L.A. So everybody wants a sequel. And the producers, they don't want Sam. So they're saying, "I want John and me to make Talk Dirty Part 2. No Sam." And Sam said, don't do that. We'll make our own sequel to it. And I agreed to it. I'm being loyal to Sam. And John says, I don't know. You know, every time I do something nice for somebody, I end up getting fucked. They're offering me a lot of money. And I said, well, they're offering to me too, but I'm not doing it. And he said, well, I think I'm going to do it. So John goes ahead and makes Talk Dirty to Me Part 2. And then we also make a sequel on our own called Nothing to Hide, which also was a giant movie. John won Best Actor again. I won Best Supporting. Nothing to Hide won Best Picture. Sam was Best Director. So it played both ways.
I see.
But I never saw that scene. I never got to see the best scene I was ever in, ever, as an actor. Never saw it.
That must piss you off at this point in time still.
Well, yeah, it breaks my heart, you know.
Well, who was the company? What was it?
Oh, I have no idea.
Not-
Vinny and Arnie.
All right.
You know, I don't know what they call themselves.
So you had a good, happy childhood because of your, you know?
Yes and no. You know, when you're 50 pounds overweight, you're not real happy. I had an inability to, I think a lot of love came in the form of food. So you ate. Mm-hmm. And the shame that brought to me is really what created Richard Pacheco. Because when I was 12 years old, I couldn't take off my T-shirt when I went swimming because my tits were bigger than all the girls. That was horrible. The shame was off the charts. Mm-hmm. So when I was about 17, after being fat from 8 to 17, I decided two things are happening here. One is my grades suck at school, and I had to do better. And two is I had to lose weight. So I stayed home from school January and February of my junior year, and I did two things. I studied for the college boards, and I worked out like a motherfucker every day. The magic worked. I raised my board scores 150 points in English. I got a 695. I wanted a 700, but I got a 695. Good enough. And I lost 50 pounds. And when I went back to school, everyone would see me walking down the hall and they go, who's that guy? And I kind of looked familiar, but, you know, and all of a sudden the girls started calling.
They started calling you,
the
or
girls
just
started calling.
Yeah?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And before the end of the year, I got elected to be the senior class president of my high school. Wow. It was my first taste of stardom, of sex stardom.
So it's like 17 years old, something like that?
I was 17.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
When did you first start noticing girls?
Well, when I was in the 9th grade, I stumbled onto a girl who had a really fat father, and she didn't mind me being fat. And we were on a school trip to Washington, D.C. from Pittsburgh, and she and I sat next to each other on a bus riding at night. And that bus ride to Washington that night, all the doors opened. There were hands in each other's lap the whole way, and it was just hand job stuff. But
that's cool.
It was the first job I ever had.
So that's the first time you noticed, or were you looking at him like in 6th grade saying she has a nice ass and nice hair?
No, I was the last one in my crowd to go through puberty.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. That was another bunch of shame too.
Well, it worked out for you anyways. The repression.
Well, that's one of the reasons that I got into this whole, celebration of body and sex starness and all, was to make up for all those years of being humiliated. So now, when I took off my clothes, wow.
But I remember. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I remember in your book, because I read your book.
Yeah.
Hindsight.
Yeah.
Right. Very nice book. You said that you had some type of vision or dream.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I did when I was a fatty. This was like 9th grade or so, 10th grade. I had a dream one night where I saw this guy, and he came up to me, and he was gorgeous. And it wasn't erotic. It wasn't like arousing, but it was the kind of dream, something special is happening here. This is not normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it turns out he told me he was me in the future. Oh, okay. now you're crazy. Now you're being crazy here. This is what's happened. This is what was happening. And he said, look who you get to be. Okay? Calm the fuck down. You're going to be doing just fine. And then he kind of disappeared. And I woke up in the morning still as fat as ever, but I had this sense that there was more going on to life than I understood. This was like a Twilight Zone thing that seemed real. And it gave me some peace of mind. And it turned out to be true.
I was listening to a guy, a very intelligent guy, the other day on TikTok. His name's Billy something. Anyways, he was saying that they have proven and they believe that there's 11 dimensions in on Earth.
Yeah.
So
well, sure.
One of those dimensions came through.
You know, I had another kind of experience like that when I met my wife. I was going to I was already in college graduate, and I was going to, I was in a commune, and there was a meeting of like 4 or 5 different communes. And I went there, and I was going to meet an old girlfriend, see if we could put it back together with each other. And she wasn't there yet. So I turned to the first person who crossed my path from the home commune in Santa Fe and said, can I help? And she said, sure, I'm going to the grocery store. We're going to buy food. We're going to take the thing out of the city up to the hills. So I go with her out to her car. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. We get in her car. She had a Volkswagen bus. She's driving. I sit in the passenger seat, and we look at each other. That's it. We started hallucinating. We were on no drugs. It was 10 o'clock in the morning. But I'm looking at her. She's an Eskimo. She's a donkey. She's a tree. And we can't break the contact. It's eyeball on eyeball. And it's just hallucinating. I've been on acid. I know what that's like. There's no drugs here. This is just happening. And I remember saying to her, does this kind of thing happen to you often? Because I was kind of new to being a hippie and I didn't know what was going on. She said, no. And over her head, there started to be a sign like a television game show. And it said, wife, 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 just so there'd be no mistake. This is your wife, Howie. You're together now. You've always been together. You always marry. You're both alive and on the planet at the same time again. Okay? Sure. And then the kind of lights went down, and we were sitting in front of a Volkswagen bus. And, hello? Howie? Your name's Howie, she said. And her name was Jeremy. Oh, Jeremy? That's a good name for a girl. And that, we've been married for 50 years now. So those kind of things happen. I don't explain them. I'm not arguing any of that shit, but call it what you will.
They're powerful.
Yeah.
I know they are.
Yeah.
So pretty much the girls didn't pay attention to you until you were in shape, and then the girls were giving you some pussy.
Yeah. Well, no, they were. I didn't, in my time and in my culture, fucking a girl meant marrying her. And I wasn't going to commit to that at age 17 or 18. I just was not ready for that kind of thing. And my friends were all going up to, in Pittsburgh, it's called the Hill District. It was a black neighborhood, and they were fucking the prostitutes up there. I didn't want my first experience to be with a prostitute. I'm a love junkie. I like love. And so I was holding out on that. And this was the beginning of the 60s. When I went to college, I went to a very radical college, quite accidentally. It's called Antioch in Ohio. And my brother had talked me into going there because it was a cooperative school, meaning you worked half the year and you went to school half the year. So it could really help lower the tuition costs. I also applied to Harvard, which I didn't get into, and Northwestern, which I did get into. But and I was going to go there because I had been at a high school program there, and I really excelled in it in journalism.
You were a good student?
In journalism.
In journalism.
Yeah. So I got accepted, and I was waiting to hear about a scholarship because I needed a scholarship to go there. And it turned out that the due date came when they were supposed to have told you that you had money or not, and I got no notice. I called up the professor from the journalism school and said, what's up? I didn't get any word. And he found out they never got my application for financial aid. I was crushed. because I was all set to go to Northwestern. And when that happened, and my brother gave me that talk about it's too expensive anyway for our family, I ended up at Antioch. Antioch was like a radical school, not a liberal school, a radical school. Everybody had long hair. Almost half the student body came from New York City. They were the children of like upper middle class wealth and more. And my dad owned a gas station. I was so fucking out of place in this crowd. And the politics, this was all SDS, and it was the revolution. And I was indoctrinated into all that and bought into it completely. I've forgotten why I started telling you the story.
Well, we were talking about, the...
Oh, when I got laid.
Yeah, but I know some stuff. So before you go too far, we want to talk about Sally, who by chance was the name of my first girlfriend's pussy.
Oh my God! I can tell you, folks out there, never be interviewed by a guy that's read your book first. You're in trouble. Sally was in the 9th grade, and I did start telling you about the bus ride to D.C. Well,
she's the one jerked off? Okay.
Yeah. And when we got back from D.C., we continued that all summer until at one point we were trying to stay in the pre-penetrative stages of things. And I had my cock out and in her vagina, which was being covered by her underpants. So I'm in as far as I could push without tearing the cloth. And I was trying to tear the cloth. I wanted to break through, but it held, and it saved, fruit of the loom saved her virginity. And I came. And at that point, she jumped up and started saying, "It's so wet. It's all so wet. I can't tell what's you. I can't tell what's me." Oh, shit. I'm 14 years old. I don't know nothing. So we stop. And I said, "Let me know when your period starts." Well, her period's late. And, oh, God, did I ever get religion then? I'm making deals with God.
Yeah. I've been there before.
if you let her not be pregnant, I promise I won't ever jerk off again. That had no chance. But long story short, about 2 weeks later, she did get her period. And then we went right back to all the same stuff we'd been doing. But we were scared, and we never got that close again. And then we just sort of stopped seeing each other. I think we got too afraid that we couldn't keep it in pre-penetration stages, and we weren't ready to get married in the 9th grade. So we just sort of stopped seeing each other.
Oh, so Sally's pussy was wet as hell?
Oh, and hot. Hot.
And how do you have so much control?
You don't. I tried to break through.
No. Yeah, but I mean, come on. I mean, I guess when you're young, you don't have the balls. All you had to do was go like this. Pull the panties to the side.
I was on my way.
Yeah.
I was on that path, but then I came over, like I said, the way I told you. And then we was just terrified. And I didn't want to ever be that terrified again.
Because, I mean, that pulling the panties to the side, right, is one of the prettiest things you can have.
Well, you're moving ahead to the end of the book. When after 40 years, Sally and I got together.
Right.
And finished what we started in 1963.
And how was it?
It was spectacular.
It was?
Oh, God, yes.
The pussy was good?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The finishing, the completion was good. Yeah. Because my wife was by then saying, we had tried to be an open marriage. We had tried to do free love. In fact, being in porn was a wonderful compromise because I stopped having personal affairs anymore as I got laid in the movie business. But, that was blurry because, there's a lot of relationship stuff happens while you're in the movie business.
Yeah. We're going to go there.
Yeah.
But she's very, from what I read in the book, she's a very understanding person.
She's spectacular.
Yeah. What did your parents want you to be, when you grew up? What were they thinking?
They weren't. My parents were not college-educated people. My mother was a housewife who really was a much stronger personality than my father. She was where the toughness came from. He had Paul Newman eyes and was absolutely beautiful, but he was the youngest of his tribe of brothers and kind of like the runt of the litter. He never could quite figure out business. During the war, one time, some guy pulled into his gas station and tried to sell him some nylon stockings, which were a big commodity that you couldn't get because of the war effort. And my dad bought 50 pairs from him. And he was so proud of himself. When he got home and gave them to my mother, every single pair had runners in them. They were all garbage. He had wasted all of his money. And my mother teased him about it for the next 40 years. So anyway, what did they want me to do? They wanted me to pay attention in school. My brother never saw a B in his life. He grew up, he was going to be a nuclear physicist. That's what family predicted. And I was going to be a gym teacher because I was good at sports.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it didn't turn out that way. He did go to Harvard and became an ophthalmologist and an eye surgeon.
Wow.
And never got a B in his life still.
Wow.
And I became a porn star.
What sports did you play?
Well, I was fat, so I was a catcher in baseball. I played the line in football, and forget everything else because you have to run, and I was slow.
Okay. But when you got in shape in 11th grade, you weren't faster?
I was faster, and that was really one of my best dates with God. When I first ran and I could feel the breeze, and all of a sudden I understood what the other boys could feel like, and I could win a race. In fact, right after I lost the weight, I went back to school. And in that initial phase, every year we had to run the 600. And every year I could only run about half of it, and then I'd walk the rest of the way. Well, this was the first year I didn't have to walk the second half. I just took off. And I knew nothing about running, so I shot my wad about 50 yards short of the finish line, but I still was the fastest I ever run it. But I got caught by the pack by the end of the race. I'm not going to lose to that fat asshole, because they still saw me like that, and I got passed up. In fact, the guy who beat me, do you know Howard Feynman? He's a journalist. He was the political editor of the Huffington Post, Newsweek. He's a national letter. You see him on TV all the time. He was the guy that beat me in that race. Yeah. We used to write a column together called "Here's How."
Really?
We were both named Howard.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What jobs did you have before you got in the business?
Well, let's see. I sold ladies' shoes. I was a journalist for the Hollywood Sun-Tatler in Hollywood, Florida, writing sports. I was good at that.
Hollywood, Florida.
Yeah. I was a production crewman on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I worked for Fred Rogers.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's interesting. How he seemed like he was a real sincere type of guy.
Too sincere. I was one of the few people who didn't particularly like him. Really? He was smarmy.
What do you mean?
I just didn't enjoy him. It was a revolution was on. We were trying to stop the war in Vietnam. He was buying none of that shit. He was always just, it's a little too swishy.
Really?
I'm not saying gay. I'm doing swishy. He wasn't the kind of man that I respected. I liked what he did as far as what he imparted to children who were at home, but he was a grown man acting like a kindergartner. I wanted him to be more politically active, and he wasn't. Huh. So he was not my favorite guy. But I liked working on television. That was fun.
Was it you like John Wayne more?
Well, I did until I got a little more educated about how the world works. The politics of robbing. I mean, America was getting fat off the poor people of the world. That didn't thrill me the way the British had before them. And John Wayne was that champion of that. And the racism, too, wasn't very exciting.
So that was kind of an interesting experience, though, being on the set with Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
So what else? What other jobs?
I ran the choo-choo train in the neighborhood of Make Believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the trolley.
Oh, so we could see you in there?
You see the trolley. Actually, it's on a table, and then I'm underneath the table with the control running.
So it's a little one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember the movie.
No.
I never got.
I had fantasies of being an actor on the show, but I only had the job for like 6 months, and then my roommate called me from college and said, "I got a job crewing a yacht. You want to be on a crew of a yacht? We're sailing from Nassau to the Bahamas, and we're leaving next week. You want to go?" I said, "Yeah."
To where?
They were going to the Galapagos, which sounded like an amazing place. I had no experience as a sailor. I had been on a motorboat on the rivers in Pittsburgh. The rivers in Pittsburgh were fire hazards. There would be bodies and cars floating around. It was really heavy polluted.
Bodies?
Yeah.
They're killing people and throwing them in the...
Well, yeah, you find a body every now and then floating in the river. Yeah.
Not a whole bunch of bodies laying around, just once in a while.
Killings, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Shit happens, right?
Yeah. So on the airplane from Miami to Nassau, I'm reading on the airplane in a book, jibsail and mizzenmast and all this nautical terms, becoming a sailor out of a book. And I get on the boat.
How big was it?
49-foot catch. Adventurer 2 was the name of the boat. It was a beautiful boat. And the owner is this 69-year-old retired Russian millionaire. He's like an accountant in Chicago. And he talked like this, very accented. The reason he took inexperienced people to be his crew, and there was just me and my roommate, 3 of us, was because recently he had a crew that actually knew how to be a crew, and they locked him in his cabin because he was such an asshole. I understood that.
Was it a sailboat or a motorboat?
Sailboat.
Sailboat, okay.
And they sailed, I think halfway around the world before they let him out. And he vowed he would never put himself in a situation where his crew could do that to him again.
Wow.
So he took raw people and told them what to do.
Wow, that's crazy.
Well, it was a mistake because we were, when I got on boat, for 7 days we're sailing down on the Exuma chain. I don't know if you know the Caribbean. It's a lot of islands.
I know the Caribbean, but I don't know the.
All right, so you're in shoal water is the point. Mm-hmm. And we're sailing for 7 days in the shoal water. And then you go out one day through the Galliot Cut out into the open sea. Well, for 6 days it's fun. We sail all day and run around the islands naked at night. There's nobody they're uninhabited.
No girls.
No girls. No.
Right.
That was really the biggest drawback there. No girls. On the 7th day, we got into the open ocean. And that's like a roller coaster that doesn't end. Okay? And
it's big swells, you're saying.
Yeah. And I discovered then that I had no stomach for the ocean.
And you're stuck there.
I'm vomiting there a lot.
But you can't go anywhere.
Not only can I not go anywhere, but once you're on the open sea, there's a crew of 3. So 3 hours on the wheel, 6 hours off. No exceptions. That's what you got to do. So I'm trying not to, I'm doing a lot of barfing. And once you stop eating because you're just going to throw it up, and it's the 3rd day of that, you start hallucinating. And strange stuff happens. So one night, I remember I'm out. It's I have the night shift. I'm on.
Can you see the moon's helping or no?
No, because there's no. It's storming. So there's no
storming.
Yeah,
and it's dark.
Storms. There's no. Clouds are covering all the light. There's no reflected light. So he comes. It's just the beginning of the wind. It's blowing, and he comes up on deck, and when you're steering a ship, not a ship, it was a boat, and it's not like a car where you go left and right and you go straight. It's like there's a number on a floating thing there. It says 270 degrees, and you stay on that. Well, you can't stay on it. It goes a little to the left, it goes a little to the right, and you're constantly shifting the wheel to compensate. Well, I knew none of that. And it's amazing that they ended up in this hemisphere when I was trying to steer the boat and keep it at that degree. Anyway, he comes up on boat and he goes, "Oh my God, the winds! Why didn't you get me? The wind! Climb the mast and strike the sail." Climb the mast. The mast is over here. It's like the boat's like there's nothing on this water. It's not on top of the boat. It's over there. I'm not climbing that. Fuck you. You climb it. Because I don't know.
You get drowned.
I'm going to climb the mast. I go, I have to do everything myself. Yeah, fucking A. I'm just trying not to throw up now. And he climbs the mast. And as soon as we hit land, I got off that boat. And I kissed the ground. And I waited for the first plane back. I was sure it was going to crash and I was going to get eaten by sharks. But some old piece of junk plane flew me from wherever it was in the Caribbean to Miami. And I took a plane home, and I never told anybody the truth about that for years.
So is that compass, would you call that magnetic deviation? or was it just because the water is so rough? Because sometimes when you're...
I have no idea what was
okay.
controlling how the compass worked.
Okay.
Not a clue.
I think it's magnetic deviation.
I believe it.
But, you know, guys...
I had the deviation part, but the magnetic just threw me. I didn't know.
Because, you know, there's lines, you know, latitude lines, latitude and longitude. So when you turn, when you move, the compass will fall behind or go forward.
It was a ball floating in water that moved around.
Yeah, that's what they do. But I'm just saying, because, you know, anyways, because I got a pilot license, so that's why you got to know these what they do, the compasses. Anyways, so that's pretty much it. And then you went on to porn.
Well, from that, I went back to college and studied medieval history Renaissance history. Became a historian. I loved history. What are the jobs? Some people from the poverty program came to my college because they wanted to set up an internship program for people who were the movers and shakers in minority communities, but couldn't get jobs because they didn't have a college degree. So they wanted to work with a college who could move quickly to set up a program that they could administer, where they could get some college credits. And at Antioch, where I was a student, they had an experiment going where students were on the faculty. So I was actually on the faculty as a student, because Antioch was a radical place. And I was assigned to help them get whatever they wanted. And I did. I helped them set up their program and get going. And they said, look, our job is all about managing bureaucracy, and you're good at that. You want one of the internships. And I said, yeah. It was a 6-month program. I'd be in Washington, D.C. I would work in some ghetto Monday through Thursday and fly back to Washington every Friday for staff meetings. And they were paying me more money than I'd ever made in my life. Sure. So I started working in the poverty programs. And I did that from the mid-'60s until Nixon got elected. And when Nixon got elected, he went, fuck this shit. And he gutted them all. He just tore them apart, defunded them essentially. And at that point, the revolution was like over in my mind. I had a friend who was the director of street work with youth gangs in San Francisco, Adonis Torres. And he would just laugh at me, white boy. You know, I would talk about violence. He goes, what do you know about violence? When was the last time you were in a fight?
I was going to ask you that. Did you have any street fights?
No.
Never fought?
I got hit once in the head hard enough to know I never wanted to get hit again. I wasn't that tough. I figured out early on, when I was about in the second grade, I thought I was tough because I was bigger than everybody, fatter at any rate. And I got in a fight with somebody, and next thing I know, Tommy Shahady, he had a lot of big brothers. He was tough. Next thing I know, I'm on my back on the ground. He's above me with my fist like this. You want some of this? I said, no, sir. That was my last fight.
Well, blessed are the peacemakers.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they say.
So anyway, I quit the government job. How did that happen? I had come out. I was assigned by the government people to come to San Francisco and do some technical assistance on a poverty program. And when I arrived, there was a woman at the college who I'd had an affair with, who was moving to this commune where you're sitting right now. And she said, look, I'm going to come.
We're in Berkeley.
Yeah.
And on
McKinley.
Right
in the center of town.
Yep. So this was a commune. A commune, some people might not know what that means. To me, it means a bunch of people are gathered.
Yes, a bunch of kids. A bunch of college kids who had dropped out, who wanted to do political work against the war in Vietnam and against racism. Those were the two main things.
What was it?
And while during that time, women's liberation was just beginning. I remember being at a rally in D.C., and the first speaker got up on a national stage and started talking about women's liberation. What the fuck is this shit? We're trying to end the war. Get off the stage. I was just one of the people who shit all over it. But then it turned out very shortly after that, every woman I wanted to fuck was into women's liberation. So the question became, what did I need to learn and still get laid? And this turned out to be the perfect place. Because what happened was, when I came to California with this girl who was moving here, she said, you want to stay at the commune this weekend? And my life for 3 years had been hotels, doing all this poverty program work. I was sick of hotels. So I said, you can stay at the commune over the weekend. Okay.
Was it nice here?
Well, yeah, but here's what happened. That we arrive at Friday morning, and everybody in the commune is loading up their gear to go to a town called Mariposa, right outside of Yosemite. And do I want to come along for the weekend? Well, sure.
Is that off the 395, or is that a different way?
Oh, I don't remember.
Okay.
How do you got there? But I go to this farmhouse, which is owned by one of the people who lived at the commune. And when we get there, everybody gets out of their cars, there are like 3 or 4 cars, and takes off all their clothes. Oh, okay. I didn't know that was coming. And then that night,
a lot of girls too?
All of them.
All girls?
No, all of the people.
Okay.
All the women, everybody was naked.
No, but was there a lot? I'd rather see a lot more girls than guys.
Well, yeah, that's where you'd look then. There were about equal numbers of each,
right.
but they were both. But one of this older woman kind of picked me out of the crowd that night and said, "Hey, sailor."
Yeah, she came up to you and said, "Hey."
She invited me to her bed, and she lived upstairs here, and I fell in love.
Why? She has a good pussy?
Her name was Sky, and she was the first woman I ever met who asked me to fuck her in the ass.
Oh, God. Really? She was kinky.
I was in love.
Yeah.
So I went back to D.C., quit my job, and had Sky fly back to meet me. In fact, this is in the book. And we started driving back across the country. And first stop was in Pittsburgh, where I introduced her to my parents, who were not real happy to meet her. She wasn't Jewish. She was older than me. She had a 12-year-old daughter. What are you doing, Howard? And then I fucked her. I slept with her in my bedroom. And that was an absolute no-no. In the morning, my mother sent my father into the bedroom saying, I had to leave. I had to go. Well, okay, bye. And I moved to California.
Yeah. How many girls did you fuck before that?
Well, I was living with a woman who I was fucking. I wasn't counting, you know.
10, 20?
Under 20.
Because in your book, it seems like a lot of girls like you. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm likable.
Yeah. So I'm thinking you're getting a lot of action.
Well, you know, I fucked one girl a lot of times, you know, okay. So more than I had a lot of girls a few times.
Okay.
That didn't happen until I got to the porn world.
Were you watching porn before you got into business?
There wasn't any porn. In 1967, I saw my first X-rated movie, and it wasn't even called X-rated then. It was called I Am Curious Yellow. It played at an art theater. It was an art film. That's what they called them in those days, when they had European movies that had sex in them. Only this had full-bodied sex in it. This had not just tits. It had nudity and dicks and actual fucking, but not like porn style, where the camera stays for 10 minutes on the meat shot. This was a story. But it still was weird to be sitting in a theater next to people in their clothes, you know, watching fucking going up on stage.
But you didn't get in the business till 78?
77.
77? So
76, I did my auditions. The movies that didn't come out until 77, 78.
But, so in between
well,
that time, you didn't watch any porn before you got into business?
In college, when I was a senior and a big shot on campus with a stunningly beautiful girlfriend.
In college, you were the man?
I was one of the men,
huh?
Yeah. And this girl was gorgeous. A freshman girl comes up to us. She is in a film class, and her assignment is to make a movie. And she decides she wants to make a sex movie. This is before there was an industry. The year would be 1970. I guess the beginnings had already happened. And I'm in a place where I've just lost this weight, and now I'm being invited to be a movie star? Sure. And my girlfriend, she had enough nerve to do this, but she thought the young girl had a crush on me, and she didn't really want to encourage that. But
Did she?
She did it. We made the movie. And
no, but the girl had a crush on you.
Yeah.
All right. She wanted you to fuck her.
Yeah, but she was not as part of the making of the movie. She was she was a virgin who wanted to make a movie. So turns out to be a virgin. She never made a film and she never had sex. So she figured she'd learned about both at the same time. And that's what she did. And she shows up at our apartment one day and sets up her stuff and gets behind the camera and hides. And so we kind of like, oh, we're supposed to make this happen for her. And we did. Neither one of us had ever done anything like this before. And we started playing around a little bit and just calming down, and we get to fucking. And then it seems like I'm eating her for like 6 weeks, it feels like, and she's blowing me for another 6 weeks, and it's getting hot. The lights are hot.
So this is 1970.
Yeah, the lights are hot, and the sex
Hot as hell, those lights.
Yeah, and we start losing interest. It's really not. We're not. Neither one of us is an exhibitionist. It's not doing anything for us that she's there watching, and making a movie is just really sweating. And we stop, and she gets out from behind the camera with eyes like you can.
she was stuck.
Yeah,
her pussy was dripping, and too bad you didn't get to touch it.
I don't know about that, but she was.
Oh, that's what she was stuck like taking a hit of crack.
She did. She was. Her mind was blown. Huh. So she leaves, and she goes and she edits the movie. And a couple of years later, I saw the movie, and it's quite cute. It had no sound in it, but it shows me with young and we were innocent and sweet. And then that woman ended up getting a pretty powerful job in Washington, D.C. in government.
Which one? The filmer or the girl you fucked?
My girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend.
Oh, your ex-girlfriend, okay.
And
is that the gorgeous girl you were saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she said to me, I don't want that film to exist anymore.
I bet.
And so I said, okay, I'll take care of it. And because we were broken up by then, but I still love her. We're still friends. Yeah. And I called up the Antioch Institute. Oh, that's my work. I can't destroy that. Said, well, we did it, and we can, and we want you to do it. In fact, I'm ready to come over right now and sit there while we burn it in the fireplace. And I did, and we did.
Yeah, all right. You're pretty strongly spoken there.
Yeah.
So, but you have, that's 1970, and you get in the business in 77. That's 7 years in between. Did you go to Pussycat Theater? Did you watch any porn movies?
I did. I liked that stuff. I did. I was a fan.
Yeah. Who were you a fan of?
Well, Jesus, did I even know people's names?
I think there was a girl back then, Desiree Cousteau. Did you ever meet that girl?
I fucked her.
Oh, you fucked her? Because she was a light-skinned black girl, right?
Oh, no. There were two.
That was Desiree.
There were two Desirees.
Okay.
And Desiree, the black girl, was not very light-skinned.
Okay, no?
She was a black girl.
Yeah.
But the other Desiree wasn't white, was light-skinned. She looked like little Annie Fanny from Playgirl.
But you didn't fuck
Desiree Cousteau was her name.
Yeah, that was the black girl.
I couldn't believe that's the lightest black I ever
so
saw.
then it must have been two different girls. So you didn't fuck.
There was a black Desiree. They called her Black Desiree, and there was Desiree Cousteau.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I knew it. And I thought Black Desiree, I remember, did a scene with John Nuzzo, and he pretended that to be shy about fucking a black girl, and she had the line about the pussy's pink. It's all, and she said, the pussy's pink. It's all pink.
I'm going to pull her up.
Yeah, go ahead. Pretty Peaches was Desiree that I'm talking about. If you look at Pretty Peaches, you'll see the Desiree that I worked with.
Desiree.
Big busted, big hips, beautiful, and really very pleasant when she was beginning in this industry.
All right. All right, there's a different... So, they pop up, yeah, what you're saying. So the girl that I'm thinking about must have a different last name, but a very pretty...
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Very pretty girl. Anyway, so you worked with Desiree Cousteau.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah.
The real one.
Yeah. Well, they're both pretty real.
But anyway, so you were saying you can't remember. So was she around, or Georgina Spelvin was around 1970s? Did you see her in the movies?
Yes, I did. I saw Devil and Miss. I saw all of her movies, and I thought she was. I was shocked when I saw Devil and Miss Jones, because I went for a sex and and I saw a really frightening movie. That movie was not. It was scary. I'm not real fond of snakes, and there was a lot of that going on. And
was that Gerardo Damiano?
Oh yeah. It's a real movie. It's not. It wasn't a porn. There was no porn films then. Uh-huh. This was just a movie with sex in it.
Okay.
And that was he made it happen, because Jerry Damiano put it in a theater with popcorn. He was the first.
Whoa.
And it wasn't him that did it. It was the mob that did it.
And this was Devil and Miss Jones. This one you're talking about?
I guess that was the first one.
No, the first one that he did, of course, the big one that he did was Deep Throat.
Oh, well.
That's the biggest film ever made.
All right.
And it grossed $500 million.
Yeah, I know all that.
600.
But I saw them both around the same time, and that I thought was a terrible movie.
Yeah.
It just was. It was slapstick. Harry Remus had his tongue in his cheek the whole movie, and
oh yeah.
I mean, I didn't get it. I've never been a big. God, I remember thinking about the early porn movies that I saw. That you have a man and a woman taking off their clothes and willing to fuck. How could you fuck up the movie with the stupid plot lines that they had? I mean, either this stupid humor, which wasn't ever funny. It was like Benny Hill kind of funny. No, that's not funny.
That was Deep Throat?
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, a clitoris in your neck. That's funny, yeah.
Well, did you know, I mean, supposedly she would come by deep throating. That's supposedly true.
I understood it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's supposed to be true, though.
But not because the clitoris was in the neck.
Right. Yeah, exaggeration,
Well,
but... Did you know Linda Lovelace?
No, I never met Linda Lovelace. Never saw her.
Okay.
That wasn't around any time I was around. Except when I started in the business, she was already been Christianized and was working for Dworkin and McKenna. And saying I was raped, I never chose to do any of this. I was forced at gunpoint to do all this. It's all bullshit.
Because Rob Everett, Eric Edwards said he was there when she was fucking the dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't say it. He said it.
Oh, I believe it.
You know what I mean?
And I believe Rob was there. Rob was one of the earliest people in the business.
Yeah, 1969.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good guy. Very nice guy.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Anyway, so you can't really remember any of the stars that got you that you
just reminded me. Harry Reams and the Deep Throat crowd and Devil and Miss Jones. Who was in it besides Georgina? I don't think anybody. There are names that I don't remember them. They weren't memorable to me. Mm-hmm. Rick. Because Sam knew all these people. He had worked with them prior to coming out to California and stuff.
And that's Sam Weston, everybody. Sam Weston, who is Anthony Spinelli.
Jack Weston's younger brother.
And Jack Weston was a regular filmmaker?
Jack Weston was a regular actor.
Regular actor.
Big time actor.
Yeah.
Major Hollywood co-star. He looked just like Sam, so he was not a romantic lead. But he did one giant film called The Four Seasons. He was opposite Rita Moreno with Alan Alda. I mean, it was his major league stuff. He's been in major league stuff his whole career. And, the irony there that Sam told me, Sam was Jack was his big brother and had made it in New York stage before Sam. And so Sam comes along, and he's an actor too, and he's trying to make it New York stage. And he gets cast in a big show. And Jack, behind Sam's back, goes to see the producer. He says, "What do you hire my little brother for? I could do this." Takes the part away. That's what his big brother did for him. So I have a big brother of my own. I know how that can go. I never had anything that bad because we didn't, but all's not always sweet in the family. So Sam
say that again.
Whatever jobs he could get.
That's a double tap on that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But all right, so you can't really remember the girls, but there was a couple girls. Was Sharon Mitchell around then?
Sharon Mitchell was around when I was working, not when I was
watching.
Or she might have been, but I didn't. I wasn't a fan. I didn't go and keep track of it. I just could not. If somebody was fucking, I was going to watch it.
But John, Joey, and Jamie were already kicking ass.
Jamie certainly was, because I saw some of that New York stuff. But John was newish, and he was kind of like in the first flush of their finding out who John Leslie is. He was pretty new. Okay. And Joey, I didn't really meet.
You didn't see.
Okay. Here's what's happening. It's I don't know what the year is. I guess I'm freshly married, so it's 75. I'm at a drive-in movie in Pittsburgh, the X-rated drive-in movie, and up on the screen is John Leslie and Joey Silvera. Okay. And I'm in the backseat fucking my wife. A year later, I'm in my second movie, The Legend of Lady Blue, shooting in San Francisco. And onto the set walks John Leslie and Joey Silvera. Wow! Movie stars! I turn into a fucking puppy. I run up to them like my tail's wagging. And John goes to Joey, Hey, Joey, look at this one. And, they're acting like I'm not even there, like I'm just there for their amusement.
Really?
It's like Joe Pesci kind of stuff. They're just making fun of me. And I realized after a while, these guys are assholes, and I just going to get out of their way.
And Joey was asshole too?
He was asshole partner. John was clearly the captain, and Joey was clearly the lieutenant.
Disagreeing? He was agreeing.
He was, the boy, and John was the leader. That's how, big brother, little brother.
Joey always seemed very docile to me. But
well, I was in a lot of movies with Joey, and I still don't have a clue who he was. He was funny, but he kept so to himself, and he and John were so New York Italian. And that's funny because John was from Pittsburgh. Okay. John was
from your place?
Yeah. Yeah. A town called Beaver.
Oh, shit.
Just outside
small.
of Pittsburgh.
Sounds small.
It was. But I went to his memorial in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
And I met the clan.
Mm.
It was a whole clan of that face.
Oh, yeah.
They all have that face. John had the best version of it because his bordered on handsome, especially with those eyes. But they all had that face, and I tend to pay my respects. That's why I was.
Let's get down to nitty gritty. When, where, how, and why did you get in the business?
So I've already made a sex film. We know that,
but not professionally, really.
Right now, I get involved in theater in Berkeley with the Blake Street Hawkeyes, and I'm auditioning for stuff around the Bay Area. And getting on casting lists. So one day the phone rings, and it's for my wife, who is also doing the same thing. And a guy calls up, and he says, how would you like to be in a romp through a hospital? And my wife says, is this a porno film? And the guy says, blah, 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 yeah. And she said, well, I'm not interested, but maybe my husband would be. And she hands me the phone. And I get on the phone, and this guy's stuck. He doesn't want men. But he's embarrassed to be calling, and then he gives me the information about where the audition is. And blah, blah. And so the movie is called The Candy Stripers. The audition is in downtown San Francisco. And I go. Now, at this point in my marriage, we were having an open marriage. And that meant that we both would pursue other things every now and then. And we try to make it possible and stay together, which was really hard work.
That's pretty big of both of you.
Oh, I was terrible at it, and she was a little bit better. Anyway, she dresses me up for the audition and sends me on my way. Because my fantasy is, and I didn't say this to her then, I wanted to fuck a bad girl. I was in love. This was my wife, chosen by God, and I knew all that, and that was great. Okay, but now I wanted to fuck somebody on cocaine and fucking in the ass, and I wanted to do all this really bad guy shit.
Or just kinky stuff.
Yeah. And so that was my fantasy, that I'd meet a girl, about bad girls. I'd never been with a bad girl. I'd never been to a prostitute. I'd always been in love. I love you. Let's fuck. Well, I didn't want no love at all. I wanted some dirty sex. And I figured I'd meet a girl like that at the audition. And I would fuck her in an elevator at the hotel and come home. That was my fantasy. And I go there with that in mind. And at the audition, I pick out the girl I want. It's a blonde girl. Okay. And we end up getting called into the back room at the same time. And she, they say to her, do we have any pictures of you yet, honey? And they have her say, bend over and turn around. And we're looking for hemorrhoids because they show up as big as golf balls on film. So she did. They didn't make me leave. I got to stay. And
this is porn.
Yeah.
So let's just say that one more time, because I want to rephrase it or make an example of it. Say it, please.
Can you mind pulling your ass cheeks apart and let's look at your ass? Because we're looking for hemorrhoids. They show up as big as golf balls on film.
This is porn. Like I just said, this is fucking porn.
Larry Price Pierce. He was the guy. So he was a producer of this movie. So they have us read the lines. The lines are like, I've said a chimpanzee with a heart on wrote the script. Okay, just it's idiot stuff. So we have to read these stupid lines, and we read the lines, and then they dismiss me. Oh fuck. Okay, so now I'm out in the hall, and I'm thinking, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to just go down here about 10 steps, and then when she comes out, I'll act like I just got done too, and we'll get in the elevator together. And that's my plan. And I do it, and it works. It's just she and me in the elevator. But there's a problem. We're already on the second floor. So how am I going to fuck her between 2 and 1? It ain't going to happen. And I blurt out to her.
So you were thinking you might be able to fuck her in case it was like 5 levels up?
Yeah.
So you were moving. You can move that fast?
I had some time. Well, we could talk. I could say we could try to stop the elevator. I don't know what we do. I hadn't thought this through.
Was she pretty? Because you saw her naked.
She was gorgeous.
Pussy looked pretty?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a long time ago. But.
Eileen something. I can't remember her last name. She had been in some porn movies. She was very pretty. And turns out it's not the pretty ones that are always the most fuckable or worth fucking.
Exactly.
Anyway,
yeah.
I said, "Do you want to go somewhere and play with me?" And she said, "I knew you were going to ask me." I said, "Yeah, well, I'm asking." And she said, "Well, okay." I said, "You need a ride?" She said, "No, I have my car. Just follow me. I'm at my car there. Just follow me to my apartment." And we get to her apartment. And then she starts talking. She's talking. Okay. Enlightenment comes to Howie. There are no porn women. It's just costumes and play acting. And I'm not really that turned on here. And she poses for me a little bit. I have my camera with me. I take a couple of pictures. And then the alarm goes off in my wedding ring. Time to go home. Okay, I go home a wiser man. But what happens is 2 days later, I get a phone call. They want me to be in the movie. Okay? And the quick version of this is, at that point in time, I was doing manual labor job with a fucking sledgehammer, $5 an hour. It was tough work. And I was about done with that.
How old were you? This 77 and you were born in 48, so 21?
Yeah. Well, or a little older than that.
I mean, 38. I mean, yeah, 31, excuse me.
I can't do the math right now. I'm trying to remember the girl.
Yeah, 48. So you're 48, or 29.
68.
Excuse me, 29.
That's 71.
77, so, you're 29.
Yeah, that's more like it. So I decided to apply to the Episcopal Theological Seminary at Harvard to study history. It's a good place to study history. And I had also applied to the Hebrew Union Seminary in Cincinnati, another good place to study history. And these are my next steps. And
the seminary.
And now I've got this offer to be in a porn film.
That's a pretty big change.
Yeah. Well, that's just to study history. I don't care about the religious part. And the other thing was the manual labor, those 4 options. So the first thing that happens is the Episcopal people write me a letter saying, it's true in the past we've invited non-Episcopalians to be in our program, but this year we need to make ministers, so go fuck yourselves, Jew boy. They don't want me. The Hebrew Union people, they accept me, but they have the first 2 years are in Jerusalem. I'm not going to Israel. My brother is in Israel. That's where he's just moved.
Hold on, I got somebody here that wants to say hi. Hello, hello.
Hey.
Who do you think that is?
Oh my. Oh my.
God.
Hi, sweetie.
Pacheco.
Oh.
A ghost from the past.
Yeah.
This is Kelly Nichols.
Oh.
Kelly Hot Nichols.
You know, it's so funny. My girlfriend, and I mean girlfriend, is here, and I was telling her a little bit about her history and stuff. And she's going, no. I said, and then we did this. No. And then he said this, and then this happened, so we couldn't do this, but then this and then he wrote a book about it.
That's right. And I'm not up to that part of my life story yet, but I'm sitting here at my kitchen table talking about it. I hate Jerry Butler. I hate him.
Did you guys did finally work together, right?
We did, but I'll tell you that story.
We started out working together. We didn't fuck, but we were in the same movie.
Right.
And for some reason, he thought I was gay or something, and I thought he was too stuck up, but I still thought he was hot. And we just kind of missed. And I thought he was really attractive. So, you know. That was
Oh, God.
And I remember seeing you. I was like, Kelly, I'll never forget your name. You were hot.
No shit.
Look at you, still look good.
Well, you let me put my glasses on because I'm 60-something years old.
Yeah.
I I remember you because I was a makeup artist on your set.
That's right.
Yeah.
You were always so nice to me, and you were always really gentlemanly with the girls, which in my book is everything.
Hallelujah.
You've always been, a gentleman and a scholar.
Say that one more time, because some people thought I wasn't. But go ahead, say it one more time.
No, listen, I'm on the sidelines, so I see everything. I see with the girls when they're upset and crying in the bathroom, or they're having a hard time, or they run home. I see all, and I also hear everything. I'm a makeup artist. They're in the makeup chair. I hear it, and very rarely. I don't think I ever really heard anything bad about you, and you were always on time, and you're always like doing what you do. It was just. Yeah, you were good. You were really, there's maybe 7 or 8 really good guys. I'm not talking from my era, but when I was working as a makeup artist, and you were definitely one of them.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for saying the nice things. So you guys didn't work together on film?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Wait. No, we have, hey, Howie?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we tell them some of the background stuff, or is that just too weird?
Oh, I'll be glad to tell them the stuff. But it's up to you. Why don't you tell them what you want to tell them?
Okay. What comes to mind besides all the flirting and shit that happened over the years was we had actually got paid to do something later on where after I was already established as Kelly, and it was between Richard Pacheco and Kelly Nichols for Electric Blue, which was to be shot very beautifully by an ex-boyfriend of mine.
Which you didn't tell me beforehand.
I didn't tell you beforehand. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Because what happened was we were
little devil.
we were shooting an R-rated scene.
You know what? I honestly, because he's just kind of I really didn't know it was going to be an issue. Honestly, there had been so much downtime, so didn't know that was going to happen. And that's just a knee-jerk reaction of the human, experiment, whatever. So anyway, how will you take it from there?
Okay, so we start the sex scene, and I'm in love with Kelly Nichols. Okay, I am gonzo.
I'm still in love with her.
And I'm so happy to be in this scene. I couldn't not get a hard on. So I'm inside her and we're fucking, and the director cuts, and he says, "This is an R-rated scene. I don't want any actual fucking going on." And I said, "What?" I had never heard that from a director ever. And you couldn't see anything. It was all cheated. He said, "No, I don't want that." So okay, and he starts shooting again, and I get hard again. I can't not get hard for Kelly. It's just, and I'm back inside again. He cuts again, and I go, "What? Are you crazy? You can't see anything. Why are you cutting? It's real. You want to? It's going to look a lot better on our faces if we're really fucking than if we're going and acting." And he said, "No, fine." And so, okay, we finished the scene. He's the director. Okay, I'm the actor. I get it. I give him what he wants. And then afterward in the makeup room, because listen, I should tell you something. He's an old boyfriend of mine, and I think he might have been had some jealousy issues going on.
I bet he was.
Yeah. I said, well, thank you for telling me.
Well, that's a nice story.
So much time had gone down, and I didn't give it credence. But boy, wow. And then that night, because I think I had flown in from New York or so, otherwise I had a hotel room, and we talked, and he came over to my room that night. And I'm not going to go into detail, but we had a real good time.
Oh, went to your room, so okay.
And that was on our own time, not on film or anything else. It was great, and it will satisfy me for the rest of my life.
Whoa!
Oh God.
Kelly is so sweet.
Yeah. Oh God.
Well,
I love Howie so much, and I think he's so hot. I think he's still hot. That's me.
look at that.
Mwah. Mwah. Mwah.
So back up. What are you guys talking about right now?
You.
Oh, we're talking about all his time. It's a long journey, but we're talking about a journey into the business and all that good stuff.
Right.
We look forward to getting you on here. You're going to come on here soon, right?
I will do it. If you had called me earlier or any time, I honestly, I'll put aside time. not a problem.
Okay, I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I know you're
No,
having a different day today, so I appreciate you taking your
for a
time.
little bit. I can talk for a little. I can talk for a little bit. The situation I'm in right now is sleeping, so I got a little bit of a break.
Okay. You want to say anything, Hallie? Say it.
Oh, God. What could I possibly
hold on.
add to this? It won't get me in hot water at home.
No. Him and I went there, and we both got in hot water, so we have to be careful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the water, she is very hot.
I kind of like fucked up, but yeah.
Oh,
Oh well.
How long were you in the business, Kelly? How many years were you an actress?
Oh my gosh, let's see. I got in 1980, late 79, 80, till about 83. A short period just did. At that time, there were so few of us, and our movies were the big things coming out. So you could be a handful of people on the West Coast and the East Coast, and that's what everybody saw across the country. It was crazy. So those years with that, you didn't have to like follow up or do any of that. Once I went to video, it was a whole different thing.
Yeah.
When I checked out, had kids, was a makeup artist for years. That was my career, and yeah, here we are now.
Well, I think we got a picture of you here with Richard. Let's see. Hold on one second. He's got all these pictures. Look at that.
Oh, I see something. What is it? Oh, yeah, that's the books. Was that a signing or a book signing? That was a signing, right?
yes. Autograph show.
What year was that, you think?
Right.
What year do you think this was?
Somewhere in the 2008, 9, maybe?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, around there.
Wow.
After 5, before 10.
I got it. So,
This stuff runs together because when we come together as a group, it's almost like time has kind of left us, and we're looking at each other, and we remember all the stuff we did in the past, and it's a whole collage of feelings when you get together with these people. I
Yes.
get together for signings, for funerals. I mean, it's amazing. You come together, and something else is usually going on that brought you together, but it is very surreal. It's really wonderful, but it really takes you outside of yourself,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, when you get together and see people that you haven't seen in a long time, that's even weirder. Everybody got old, right? It's kind of crazy.
But how your partner gets older and you don't really notice? I mean, there have been a few situations where I'm going, whoa, that's a little bad. But most of the people that I've seen age, I kind of follow them in my mind, and I don't have a weird perspective. They still remind me of what they were when they were younger. And it doesn't, the past reconciles itself to what I'm looking at now, and it's a positive thing.
Yeah, but you do the faces, so you really could tell. You know, you really can see, like, what the fuck happened?
I should be really critical, right? But I try not to be, because you know what? I gotta be careful.
Well, you look like you're like 30 years old.
Oh gosh, I wish I had a filter. Thank you, babe.
Of course. No, I'm serious though. I always thought I'd say, man, Kelly looks pretty hot on the set, but you know, you're always so nice, so I never really tried to push anything. But I would say you look pretty hot.
You'd be right.
No, but that wasn't us. I don't think that we had that kind of vibe between us.
Yeah.
You were very focused on your job. Yeah, and that's what I liked about you. You were very, I don't say business-like, kind of sounds cold, but it was your job, and you knew what your job was. And you went in, you were professional. They never had to hire anybody to replace you. You were always on time, and that was your job. And I was there for a job doing makeup on the girls, taking care of them, so we both knew our separate jobs. And on the side, I got to see you many times because when I was doing makeup, you were a very popular actor, and we always said hi, talk a little shit and stuff like that. Nothing too deep. I really don't know that much about you. I know you have a brother. I think he had some kind of bar somewhere. I don't even know. But I hear things, but I never really attach them to things. So I remember you just being a really good guy.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, you're right. We just kept it real professional. And I was there to do the job. You're right. I was there. I didn't want to.
Right. You always were. Because sometimes the guys would be like, they have the girl they were going to do, that be hitting on the girl they weren't supposed to do, or they'd bring their problems to her. I mean, or they were complete jocks and assholes. So, it was the gamut. And you were like exactly what we needed, because this is a grist mill. You need to be professional to get this stuff out, to get it on time, so we all go home.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're gonna get back to his, but I'm gonna call you, so I can't wait to get you on.
Okay, baby.
And I appreciate it. Thank you so much for calling. Because I know that I read Howie's book, and he was in love with you. So it's really nice to get you on here.
I was very surprised. He said some really great things, and I have that book with me. I will never let go. It was so sweet, Howie. I love you so much.
You touch my heart, girl.
Oh, baby, me too. We are a kindred spirit on a couple levels.
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, babies.
All right, Kelly.
Will talk to you. And Howie, call me later, okay?
Okay. This reminds me, do you remember You Bet Your Life, or not You Bet Your Life, This Is Your Life? Ralph Edwards, the TV show?
Oh, yeah.
That's what he's doing here. This is like right off of the surprise the person with the people from his life. It's wow.
He just doesn't have the heavily bound filler book to show you all the stuff.
When you get alone with him, aside from whatever happens in that department, that's your business. But get him to tell you about his career. I've never met anybody in our business that knows more sides of it as deeply as he does. It's extraordinary to talk to him about all that stuff.
No, you know what? I bet it, because he was able to kind of compartmentalize what he did on set. So he probably saw so much from a very interesting time period with our business. That makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah.
I will grill you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
All right, Kelly. Thank you.
Talk to you.
Have a beautiful day. Thank you. Bye.
You too, baby.
I thought that might be a nice surprise for you.
You think? Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure. So, all right, let's go. So you were 1977. You go back. That's where we were last. We left off. You go home with the girl. You get sick of her talking. She's got a mouth that doesn't makes your dick soft. So you go back home. Now you get called for the job. So we go from right there.
Well, the next lines are about how you can have your lines down, you can have your body in shape, but you can't guarantee on Tuesday at 10 o'clock you're going to get a hard-on. So I start rehearsing. And periodically I would just go off by myself and get myself hard. I wouldn't come. I just wanted to see if I could get myself hard. Just because that's what the job is. There's no Viagra. There's none of that shit. I'd have been all over that stuff if it'd been around. But there's none of that. So
it's a whole new world for these new people.
Yeah. So, okay, now...
And nobody will have... So sorry, but nobody will ever, from, 10, 20 years ago, ever, or 24 years ago, know the stress. But go ahead.
I'm on the Bay Bridge driving to work, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm practicing getting hard-ons in the car by myself. I had a jacket sitting next to me in the front seat, because if a truck goes by, they can see down into your cab. So I would cover myself, and every now and then I'd miss it, and a truck driver would see me jerking off in the car. And he'd go, and I got to rehearse. All right, so I get to the set.
So this was right away. You were scared you couldn't get your dick hard?
Well, I was just practicing, because you can't guarantee it. They're paying you money.
Did you ever have a problem at home, ever?
One time, the first time I tried to have sex with my girlfriend and another guy, my best friend, who I thought the three of us should go to bed together. What the fuck? But neither one of us could get hard.
Oh shit!
Because so that was the only time that it ever happened. Until I got in the business. I never had any of that shit until I got in the business. And I had all of it. A lot of it.
So you're on the Bay Bridge and...
Well, I get to work. Let's see, this was the blowjob in the closet. That's a really long story. So I should just do the headlines.
Yeah.
She starts sucking me and I get hard. And I'm looking around the set, everybody in the eye. Hey, this is pretty cool. Welcome to my blowjob. Yesterday, I'm breaking concrete for $50 a week, and now I'm going to get $200 for getting a blowjob. Is America a great country or what? Okay, and cut. Because back then, it's all film. It's in magazines. They got to reload. Okay, they're touching up her hair, and back to the set. She starts sucking again. I get hard again. No problem. Okay. This happens 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times.
Of changing the reel.
Just something happens, they cut, and they're okay, now we get back on the set, and my dick says to me, hey, what the fuck? I said, I don't know. I just work here. They say, okay, Bob Chin comes over and he goes, we have all the hardcore footage we need. Now just come. Oh, okay. Well, my dick had taken the car keys and left. Didn't tell me. And she starts sucking me. Nothing. She's sucking me. Nothing. And she's sucking me really fast. She's trying to make me come. My dick is going, no. I said no. And I'm just there. And finally he goes, okay. They had only had that one blowjob scene to do in the morning, and then they were done. They were going to have lunch, fancy lunch, and then go home. Well, so director Bob sees nothing's happening. He goes, let's break for lunch. We'll have lunch, and you'll come back, and we'll get the cum shot. So they go to they have tablecloths. They have silverware. That's a roast beef meal. I go to the bathroom by myself and lock the door. And I'm trying to get hard by myself with the door locked. I can't get hard.
You can't get hard at all.
Yeah. Now I'm panicking because I'm by myself. There's nothing. I'm not a man. I'm not a woman. I don't know what I am. I'm fucking broken.
Your pride is done.
Oh, pride. I don't know what. I have to go back out there. I'm just trying to go, what are you going to do now? What's your encore here?
It's a demoralizing situation.
So I go back out there, because the fight goes on, They rang the bell. It's 1 o'clock. It's 1:30. It's 2 o'clock. It's 2:30. They had no suncock there. It's got to be me. They're stuck. And the set starts to look like the Flight of the Phoenix, the movie. People are growing beards. It's like they're in the desert stranded. It's like an airport when there's a snowstorm. People are looking for a place to lie down and go to sleep. And at one point, after 3 o'clock, she's like got her head on my lap on the ground. I'm naked sitting there, and I'm kind of flipping my dick around by myself. And Bob Chin's sort of looking at me. He's the only one paying any attention. And all of a sudden, I think about the first girl I ever made out with, Sally. Wow. Sally said hi. And all of a sudden, my dick has a little twitch. Sally, come on, let's go. You're going to help me out here, Sally. Sally helps me out. And Bob Chin sees that I'm getting hard. And he goes, get up, get up.
Oh, no. Careful what he says.
And I start to get up. And Nancy Hoffman, that was the woman, her head hits the floor. And my dick.
Her head hit the floor. What do you mean?
She was sleeping on my leg when I tried to stand up. So.
She didn't do it for you then?
No, she didn't. She didn't even know what was happening.
No, but she didn't do it for you because one look and she kryptonited your dick.
No, that was my own imagination.
Okay.
So Bob Chin rushes in and he says, Howie, whatever you were doing, do it again. And Nancy, when he gets up, grab it and we'll go. So that works again. It works. And Nancy touches me. As soon as she touches me, it goes away. Bob Chin's right there. He goes, Nancy, don't touch him. Howie, jerk off, all the way off. When the first squirt comes out, Nancy, then you grab it and act like you did it. And that's what we did, and it worked. And in my head, I hear the cheering of millions. It's like Rocky. You know, I didn't win the fight. I just didn't get knocked out. And I knew that. And a towel comes flying out of nowhere, hits me in the face. And somebody says, "Go home, champ, sleep it off." Cut.
That's cool. It was rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much do you get paid?
Let's see, $200 a day, 2 days. So I came back for the orgy at the end of the movie. I actually was looking forward to that because you'd think I wouldn't want to come back again. And most guys that go through that don't ever come back again. But I figured I've already had the worst happen to me that could possibly happen. I mean, I've never been that shamed in my life. And I figured it might be easier because there's going to be other guys on the set and other girls. So it won't all be on me. If I have a problem, I'll just go to the next scene or the next guy. And that's pretty much how it worked. When I did the second day of shooting, there was one great moment I'll share with you because it's worth mentioning. There was 4 or 5 of us, 4 or 5 couples in the opening scene, and they shot it like a pinwheel. They had the camera right in the middle, and the camera would just rotate to go from scene to scene. It really was a brilliant way to save time of having to break down sets and reset. And we're all in position, and they're going to do me first in case there's a problem. And right before they call the first action, out of nowhere, "Let the sideshow begin. Step right on in. Guaranteed to raise a smile. Guaranteed to blow your mind." It's Paul Thomas singing out of nowhere. It wasn't in the script. He just burst into song, and it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. It was angelic. I just fell in love with him right then and there forever. It was a great, great, great moment. And then they went on with my scene, and I had no problems at all. I gave them their scene in 5, 6, 7 minutes, all it took, and cut. And they go on to the next scene. And I'm in everybody else's background shot. So I had a book with me, Nikos Kazantzakis, who I love reading. He's a great writer. And I'm reading on the set. I'm fucking so smug. I just, I had said to the girl also, would you like me to suck you off? Would you like to come? And she said the immortal words, which I was to hear many, many, many times. "Are you kidding? In front of all of these people? Ain't this a bitch?" I'm thinking. They're making more money than me, and they don't even have to come. This is all fucking ass backwards.
So you got your $400, right?
Yeah, I earned it.
How did you feel?
Felt great.
Because you're breaking hammer. Doing construction, right? I read your book.
Oh yeah. I wasn't thinking like I was going to be in the business. Mm-hmm. This was just like I was a writer, and I was going to get a great story out of this.
Really? Oh, so you were a journalist, you said, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was a writer. And the title of the article was called "An Adventure into Every Man's Fantasy." Being a porn film. So I did it.
Huh. So you wrote that article?
Yeah. And sold it.
Wow.
But then...
so you got more than $400. How much you sell it for?
Oh, I got, I don't know, one paycheck. Probably $350 an article is what was happening back then.
$350?
Yeah.
So you got $750 total?
Well, but I also had a career because what happened a couple of days later is the phone rang again because producers talk to each other.
Yeah, small world then.
Yeah. And the Legend of Lady Blue needed bit players. This was a pretty big film. Jesse Pearson, that's his real name. He was the guy that played Birdie in Bye Bye Birdie, the Dick Van Dyke movie.
Before my time, yeah.
Oh, it's an Elvis-like character who gets drafted. It's a play on that. Bye Bye Birdie is a Broadway show about that, and they made it into a big-time movie.
Dick Van Dyke.
He was the lead actor.
You heard there's 2 Van Dykes, right?
Jerry Van Dyke was his younger brother.
One of those guys?
Dick Van Dyke was the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
No. I'm saying one of those guys' daughter came in the business.
Oh, I have no idea who.
I work with her.
Okay.
And then not long after that, she committed suicide.
Oh.
Yeah, it's terrible. I think her name was Kelly, but anyways, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Don't quote me 100%, but I'm about 99% sure.
Okay.
And I want to go back to that point before we go too far.
Yeah.
Joey Silvera. This I'm going to give the information to the people. I like to give, I'm a giver, right?
Okay.
Joey Silvera, we're on a set, right? And he was, probably 15. He started in 76 or something, I think. Something like that, maybe 75. I don't know, right around that time.
He was on Show World in Broadway. I mean, on New York. He was doing live stuff on stage.
But he was, I'm saying that he's been around.
Yeah.
So I think it's 91, 92. He's on a stage. He's like, fuck.
Yeah.
He says, I need some ammunition. I need some good ammunition.
Joey.
So, right, because, he's getting jaded. That's a long time, right?
Yeah.
And maybe the same girl he's not into, right?
Yeah.
I need some ammunition. So that's the terminology for you today. Ammunition is what you need, and that's what he had. He went back to Sally and got some ammunition from the ammo rack.
Oh, Joey, I love you, wherever you are.
Anyways, go ahead. So you're on the Lady Blue or this?
Legend of Lady Blue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hired to be in a scene where, that's where I met John and Joey. Because what happens is I'm in a scene, me and Ken Scudder. Ken Scudder was a guy who was very famous around San Francisco for doing loops. He was just really a steady cock. And so he'd do all...
A good actor.
No actor at all.
No, but Dick, actor, porno star.
Steady porn.
Okay.
Dick, whatever you want to call him.
Okay.
He never failed at that. So he was terrified of having to do any lines. And I'm hooked up with him. I'm terrified of doing the set. We were a good combination. So it's him and me and 4 black guys, 4 short black guys, all who had giant dicks. It was just bizarre. And the 6 of us are sitting around a bed. We're supposed to be at a whorehouse in Vietnam, which was really cool because I'd never been in a whorehouse and I'd never been to Vietnam. So here we are. And we're all jerking off. That was the day I learned about lubrication, by the way, because I didn't have any. And the next day it was... Anyway.
Can we make a quick little point? Because when I got in the business, there was no lubrication. You had used Abilene.
Yeah.
A pile. Everybody used the same jar with pubic hairs and who knows what else in there. Shit, maybe. Shit, right? And you all go into the Abilene and grab a big scoop and put on your dick. Is that what you had?
The Abilene Queen. Yeah, she used to bring it out.
Anyway, that just... if only we would have had time to make lubrication, I'd be a billionaire.
We didn't have that then. There was nothing.
Right. Abilene,
I was doing the raw cock. That's why.
Yeah, but no Abilene?
Nothing.
Nothing. Oh, yeah, that's even worse.
But
no Vaseline?
I didn't think about it. I was just trying to, the whole scene for 6 hours, I'm either hard or trying to get hard. But I'm jerking. 6 hours of that.
That's the end of it.
Dumb.
That's the end of your
dick. It took me days to heal.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
So anyway, we're shooting the scene, and then some guy's fucking the queen of the whorehouse, and then they cut that and send him away, and John and Joey walk out, and that's where I go. That's when they did that whole movie stars. John and Joey was doing, and they just chewed me up and spit me out.
Let me ask you. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
John is always, so good to me, right? Always from day one, But I always have these questions because I'm, one of those guys. Do you think John was tough at all?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, I'm not tough to somebody who's a trained fighter, but I remember him talking to Sam about, a lot of times he was known for being a star. And so when you go into a bar, guys would come over and put a hand on him. And he's telling Sam, as soon as somebody puts a hand on you, you put a hand right back on him. You have to do that. And then John, he would try to lecture me about this shit, like I was ever going to. He said, Henry Slappy was a guy I knew in high school, taught me how to fight. And Henry Slappy said to me, never, ever get into a fight with someone who is crazier than you are at that moment. Words to live by.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to protect yourself, but I understand.
Well, for you, that's an option. For me, it'd be funny or be gone. That's no option.
I mean, John was a good-sized guy anyways.
Yeah, well, he's a good athlete.
Yeah,
Good athlete, really good athlete. Okay. Great center fielder, great football player.
No shit, football too?
Yeah, he could throw a pass. He was a quarterback,
Quarterback, right? Cool. Yeah, I think he was a smart guy, right? Intelligent.
Well, I have such mixed feelings about that because whenever we'd get together and do a cold read, I couldn't believe how bad he was. Just to reading, and then trying to do it didn't play because everything else about him was like he was the top dog, and that's how it is. And I was always a supporting player, and that was fine with me. I was happy to be on the team. But when we do cold reads, I'd be embarrassed for him because he just really couldn't keep up. He couldn't.
So
come on, it's not that hard.
So he had to take it back and then make it happen, mold it.
Whatever he did.
Backstory.
So much of it, what he played John Leslie all the time.
Oh, really? Okay.
He was a really great John Leslie. But I never saw much of a range there. But nobody wanted to see the other shit. Every now and then, Sam would have us do comedy, and we did one stupid video where, Sam's direction to me was be funny, and I played I tried to do it like a chaotic Ed Wynn kind of thing. And John was my foil. It was fun to get to slap him around a little bit because the cameras are running now, and it's funny. And he's having to put up with this shit because I'm sure this is over, you fucking asshole.
Yeah. So he was protecting his his pride, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's go this one because I want to know this stuff.
Sure.
You said a little bit in your book, but I want to get deep. I want to get deep into it.
Dig, I'm here for it.
Marilyn Chambers was fucking sexy. She looked. Some people think, oh, she's all right, but I thought she looked hot. I thought she looked hot. So I want to know about Marilyn Chambers. Was she hot? Was her body nice? Did she suck dick good? Was the pussy bomb?
Okay.
As in good.
All right. Now there's the big distinction between your career and mine, and the times as well. Marilyn Chambers was a movie star. She was top of the line stuff. So when she was in the scene, everybody's kissing her ass all the time. Okay, that's what the scene's about. That's all it's about. And Chuck Traynor is like her guard dog. He's there to protect his interests
who was with Linda Lovelace first, right?
I know.
Anyways,
but
go
the
ahead.
point being that when the scene was wrapped, she was taken away. She was not sitting hang out with the crew and the guy there. She wasn't there. You just saw her when it was time to work, and then she was away. That's just like when I first met her in, what the hell was the movie? Insatiable. And I was so honored to be working in the movie. She was the top of the line. So you're here, you've arrived at the big time. And
can I ask you a question? Sorry to interrupt
Sure.
that thought, but would you say that Jenna Jameson, you had heard of Jenna Jameson, right?
I've heard of her, yes.
So you don't really know that much about her?
Zero.
Okay. All right, so then I was thinking Marilyn Chambers, Jenna Jameson, were they parallel or not? But because Jenna was out there, but you don't know.
Jenna was never internationally famous the way Marilyn was.
Really?
Marilyn was the
Okay.
Irish Snow Girl. That was a huge story. Everybody heard that story, not just the porn world. Jenna was famous in the porn world.
No, she's famous outside. She did regular movies.
Well, I don't know, but it wasn't like a page one story with Procter and Gamble.
Right.
They played for weeks,
But I don't want to interrupt you, so yeah,
That's
please.
okay. So I was just honored to be there, and we worked together. And in the scene, I was playing with her. I'm to get a blowjob, and I'm a pro at this point. I mean, I've been in maybe 10, 15 movies, and it comes time she's sucking my dick, and I'm hard. It's not hard. I'm just so honored to be there. But it's not like we're making a movie. We're not having sex. Okay, there's a real big difference. I'm not. The heat is not so powerful that it overwhelms my sense of being in a movie ever with her, especially in the beginning.
With her,
we're making a movie. The director's right on it.
A lot of pressure, maybe.
Well, it's just to do the job. Do the job. It's not. The sex is really just this shot, that shot, this shot. They're not waiting for you to enjoy it. They're just getting the shots. So it gets to the point where she's sucking my dick and I get hard and it's time for the wet shot. And I know just in real life, it takes me a long time to come from a blowjob. Just does. Okay, so I'm thinking that, and I'm saying to myself, what can happen to you when you start trying to come. Okay, then it's either you let it happen as it's happening, or you're subject to all manner of terror attacking you, and panic and failure and shame and all that shit. So I said to Stu, the Siegel, the director, I said, look, You want a wet shot. I think it would take a large portion of Marilyn's remaining youth before I come from a blowjob from her right here. It was outside on the ground in mud. It's a outdoor scene. And I said, let me just jerk off and get myself to the edge of coming. And then you will cue her when I'm going to jump in and act like she did it. I'm taking one for the team. And I did. And everybody loved me for doing it. I saved them all kinds of time. They didn't give a fuck whether, I remember, I only seen this one scene. As I said to you earlier, what I did early in my career is I took a job in every position on the set. From boom man to sound guy, I did all these different jobs just to see the perspective, learn the business. And in one movie, I was working the boom, and I saw Blair Harris or Blair Morris working with Bonnie Holiday. I don't know if those are names you even know. Blair was a regular. He was kind of in a marriage scene with Annette Haven and Bonnie Holiday. Annette and Bonnie claimed they were married. I mean, it's this backstage shit. So Blair was one of their circle, and he was in a lot of porn films. And he's fucking Bonnie Holiday. And I'm watching him get close to coming, and he slows down. And he gets, okay, let's go back. He goes some more. He's fucking her for himself. This is not, he didn't give a shit you got a camera. And the director's not man enough or powerful enough to boss him around. So, and I never even dawned on me you could do that. That you could have, this would be pleasure for you. And I know you know that to the nth degree because that's why you're there. You're taking care of you as well as making movies.
Sometimes, when the pressure is too tight and, maybe it's not exactly what you like, then it's really professional and you can't, it's not like you could really enjoy it so much. So I know both perspectives.
Well, if some director gives you that latitude, you assume you would take it. And Blair was taking it. Mm-hmm. And to me, it was an enlightenment because I just worked for the director and I know that it's not for my pleasure. And I never met anybody who would treat it any other way. So that was enlightenment to me. And I remember Bonnie Holiday was so gorgeous. She and Annette together, that was a pair.
That was her stage name?
Bonnie Holiday was the stage name, yeah. I remember saying to Bonnie, I was flirting with her. I used to try to, there's a real, this, I guess, that's still true. There was a huge caste distinction with an E, between fucking actors or fucking crew. And most of the crew could go fuck themselves before they were going to get anything from the actresses.
And I'm going to throw something else on there. Yeah. Many times the crew was jealous, envious, and
angry.
Angry and confrontational.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to knock out one of the crew guys one time.
Yeah, I believe you. I believe you.
It was fun. Good, Well, here's Bonnie Holiday. Well, she's pretty, yeah. I like her.
Yeah. So I flirted with her, and she
that's her?
Yeah. She flirted with her. And I'm watching her, like, really enjoying the fucking Blair. I mean, she's just in heaven. She's just all milky and, dreamy-eyed. And I'm trying to flirt with her. And I said, she said, yeah, well, I'm okay now. Maybe call me in a month or so.
Don't you have a picture of Marilyn Chambers?
Oh, yes.
Let's see Marilyn Chambers. Because, so Mary, did you ever get to the fact that she was good to fuck, or was it just too businesslike?
Well, the first one was all business. And the second one was too. The second one was I play a disc jockey, and she's the lead singer with a new record, and she comes to my studio, and I'm playing, and she gives me a blowjob, and halfway through the blowjob, she stops, and she says the line, "When my song comes to number 1, I'll come back and finish this." Cut at the end of the scene.
This is with Marilyn Chambers?
Yeah. So I got a half a blowjob.
So I like the way she looks. So was she pretty?
Yeah.
Or not?
I say yes.
But not gorgeous like the Bonnie Holiday.
Yeah, she's on that part there.
Yeah, okay.
She was gorgeous.
This is what is this, 1980?
Later than that, 81, 82, 83. I can't remember which is which. That's Insatiable. That's around 81.
Insatiable. Okay.
Yeah.
81.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not getting a vibe from you like she's just dropped dead. Would you say Kelly Nichols was more Oh, it was hotter for you, or
Far more.
far hotter? Okay.
Because there was an emotional component.
Okay.
There's also when after the movie was wrapped, Insatiable, I get a call a year later. The movie hasn't come out yet. New producer wants more sex in it. They want you in the sex scene, and John Holmes and Marilyn Chambers. That's what I said. Is it in? I'm going to follow John Chambers in some hole? I don't think so. And I tell him no. And he said, well, pay your rate. And I was $1,000 a day. And he said, I don't care. That's not worth $1,000. I'm not going to do that. And I said, they got a lot of power. And so Siegel, he says to me, well, you got some power too. And if ever anybody tried to tell me that they really needed the scene bad, bullshit, that was it. And I said, yeah, sure. And he said, okay, how's 1,400 sound?
Whoa, really?
Yeah. And I said, it sounds okay. And but no.
No?
He said 1,500.
Fuck.
That's what I said, 1,500. Okay, so if I don't get hard and have a bad day, it's $1,500. I know what that's like. I've been there. I can live through that.
But people got to understand this, because people might not see this perspective. The fact is, this is 1981, too, or somewhere around here?
This is probably Holmes had just gotten out of jail. It was the day he got out of prison after he'd been in prison for a year for protective custody, they called it.
From the murder case.
From the murder. So it's after the murder. It's probably 83, 84,
so
83.
$1,500 is good money.
Oh, it's excellent money.
It's probably like $5,000 almost right now.
Well, that would be better.
No, you know what I mean?
The equivalent.
Yeah, the
cash.
equivalent right now, yeah. That's what I think, because, dollars dropped. Anyways, go ahead.
So I go ahead and I agree to it. And I show up to make the money. It's being shot at the home of a Marin proctologist, which turns out to be an interesting point. And by the time they're shooting this scene, they've added two more people to the cast. They've added Herschel Savage and Lily Marlene. So my blowjob from Marilyn Chambers has turned into a blowjob from Marilyn and Lily Marlene. Now that's really my favorite flavor of getting a blowjob, because I will wear out one woman trying to make me come from a blowjob in front of a camera. Mm-hmm. It's just too hard. But two women, they can pass me back and forth. So I'm always getting fresh meat, from somebody. So that's good. They can do that. And I like Lily Marlene a lot.
I saw her. I wanted to ask you about her. Was she hot?
She's colossally underrated. She was red hot. And it's nothing to do with looks or body. It had to do with how much she liked fucking.
It was coming out of her.
And how much she liked being fucked in the ass.
Well, but I saw her. I never forget her. Before I got into business, I remember seeing Lily Marlene, and she got me. I felt the heat. She's hot, right?
Yeah.
Horny.
Yeah.
And sexy. A nice fat pussy, too. Nice.
Didn't even bother with that. I'm going to get in the ass. That's, I'll go there.
Right.
So anyway, the two of them were blowing me, and I had to do my scene. I come, no problem. Okay, now I'm wrapped. I got paid. And the house was interesting design. It had like an upstairs that had a balcony that looked downstairs over the living room. Okay, so all of a sudden, and that's where the food was, on the balcony. And I'm having lunch before I drive home. And I hear these screams coming from downstairs. And I look out over the edge of the balcony, and John Holmes is fucking Marilyn Chambers in the ass with that baseball bat he called a dick. And Marilyn's face, I had never, ever seen a woman that transported during sex. It was like watching a baby cry. You know how a baby's just unrestrained. There's no filter. It's whatever's happening. That's what Marilyn's face is like while she's getting fucked in the ass. And he's in her. It's not just he's in her and slamming. And I get hard again. I had just come. I'm getting hard looking at it. And I'm watching this whole scene. And okay. I walked out of there telling people for 6 months, this is the greatest sex scene ever filmed. Do not miss this movie. And when the movie came out and I look at it, they missed the shot. They had the close-up on the meat the whole time. All you see is a dick in a hole.
No
Who cares?
face.
Who fucking cares? It was her face. Yeah. It was there. They didn't get it. They just, I was so disappointed.
Man, have you ever seen that? You thought you did a great scene, and then the cameraman fuck it up, and you say, "What? This looks like shit."
Yeah.
I mean, that you yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So can you show me how big? I know you didn't fuck him, but you were next to him. How big was John Holmes' dick? Go like this. No, go like this so you can see it better on the camera.
14 inches.
Was it a real 14 inches?
Well, there's been debate about that. Al Goldstein wrote, it's only 12 and a half. But then I wrote, but Al Goldstein never paid retail for anything.
That's funny. The owner and editor of Screw Magazine.
Yeah, he was a major player as a commentator on the X-ray. For a long time, he was the most intelligent observer of the porn world. And Screw covered it well. And in fact, Screw had the only legitimate reviews because they had a guy, Dan Shockett, who wrote reviews, and all he cared about was good porn. Huh. And all the other reviews of porn from then came from producers who owned the magazines. So all the 5 stars, and you'd go saying, "What the fuck? You waste my life to this." Because I think I said this to you before, that the thing that astonishes me about porn is that you have people, a man and a woman, willing to get naked and really fuck. Don't fuck up the scene. Don't give them stupid lines. Don't cheat. Just let them fuck. Don't do anything else. Show the fuck. Fuck is great. Fuck is magnetism. If there's fucking on in the room, everybody finds it. It's just a magnet. Fuck, yeah. And yet they screw up these movies. They've been screwing them up left and right by acting like they're aroused. Don't ever act like you're aroused. Please. No, God, no. Save us from people acting. R-rated movies on television I see where they're acting the sex, I just get angry. I want to throw something at the TV. Yeah. I just can't handle people acting like there's a dick in them. Nobody does that well. They just don't. It's just not possible.
Yeah, you can see it. Well, you're an experienced person, so you can see it better.
Yeah.
Well, of course, everybody wants to know this question. Who and what was John Holmes like?
Mercurial. He was really nice to me. There's a picture. Yeah, it's right here. Here, you hold it up. There's a picture here. I was taking pictures on the set with my own camera of Pizza Girls. And John saw me doing that. And he said to me, I was like in my 3rd or 4th movie. He said, "How'd you like your picture taken with the big fella?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, I'd love that." And so that's the picture.
That's a nice picture.
Yes, it is.
Hey, so I can see why the girls liked you.
Right? Yeah, that was cute. So that was a really nice gesture that came out of nowhere because, from being on a set, it's all about power. And whoever's got it, and they use it, and then you see it, and you get in line, whoever you are on the set, and you work yourself into that structure. Well, Holmes was it, except on this set, there was a guy, and I'm not going to say his name, but he weighed about 300, 400 pounds, had a shaved head, and just looked like one of the guys. You don't normally see those guys on the set. He was on the set, and the prettiest girl on the set that day was on his lap. She wasn't in the movie, and she never left his lap. So he was the money, and everybody was afraid of him, including John Holmes. And so John was just sort of reduced in power at that point. He wasn't the king of anything. So,
what kind of guy was he? Do you know? Did you hang out with him at all?
Well, he was, when things were going well, he was fine. When he got mad, you didn't want to be near him.
Really?
He just got angry, and Lord knows what he could do. He's just being fat and big, but
I'm not saying Holmes.
Oh, Holmes.
Yeah, Holmes.
No. Holmes was, what am I saying? What I wanted to share about him, I said mercurial, because for me, out of nowhere, he chose to be nice. And I was a brand new kid and appreciative. And he was John Holmes. I mean, it was like meeting Babe Ruth. You just are in awe of that. And at one other point, there was some girl on the set, a low-level somebody doing something, and he reduced her to tears. He just started bitching on her, and she starts crying. I mean, it seemed to be like cocaine behavior. You never know what you're going to get. And he was mercurial that way. He would do one thing and then just completely turn to somebody else. And it seemed all arbitrary. You can never know what you're going to get. I was grateful that I got a kind moment from him and never did anything even mildly to offend him in any way, shape, or form. When I had, in Pizza Girls, I had another glorious failure with Candida Royale. I was supposed to fuck her. And this time I knew myself. It's like my 4th or 5th movie. So before the scene, I called her up in San Francisco because I knew I was going to work with her. And I wanted to meet with her because I figured I just didn't do well with people I didn't know. So if I know you and we're friends, then I feel helpful during a sex scene. So I called her up and said, would you have coffee with me? And she said, well, nobody's ever asked me to do that before. And I said, well, I'm asking. And she said, well, okay. So I went over to San Francisco, and I met her on the rooftops with her and Lori and Dominique, who was another X-rated actress of that era. And Candida was young and wild. And we ended up fucking on the rooftops. And it wasn't particularly passionate, but the plumbing worked. And I was able to get up, get in, get out. And I did. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And we get to Candy Girls. Now I'm on the set with John Holmes. And he's watching me. That ain't helping. That ain't helping.
Say it again, because the people, I don't think they understand. If you're in a room, right, whatever, a big set, small set, bedroom, and there's another guy or two that's not in the scene, but that you might see him and have some little power or big power like Holmes, then your brain is going to be tripping the fuck out.
It's like being in, you're playing with the New York Yankees in the room and you're a little leaguer. That's what it feels like. You know, how even dare you be here? And I dared, and it didn't work. Candida was trying her best to get me up, and nothing happened. And the director said to me, okay, be funny. And so I'm with a soft dick, I'm cheating behind her ass and pumping, and I'm singing, he'll be coming round the mountain when you come. So it's a cowboy. And it's just so embarrassing and humiliating. And after that, Holmes walks up to me after they wrap the scene, pats me on the head.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
Little baby.
There wasn't a rock big enough for me to crawl under at that point.
So that's your experience pretty much with Holmes? He's fairly nice to you?
Well, I was nice to him. He was nice to me. Mm-hmm. And I saw him. That was before the murders and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then I saw him after that, this day at the thing. And what was interesting about that day, he was really that morning released from San Quentin after a year in custody.
How did he look?
Weird. And he ended up, it was cold. It's like a March day in Marin. And we were all like cold on the set. And he was naked. And somebody made the comment, a crew guy said, oh, that's what being in prison will do for you. You get used to being cold, you know. Yeah. So he was that, and then the scene he did with her, like I said, was just amazing. But Bob Chin, you read his books?
No.
Bob Chin wrote a couple of really good books that are just his experience in the business, and they're real readable too. I really enjoyed them. And he talked about Holmes as just like an endless pain in the ass, because he started feeling his own power. I mean, Chin had him at the beginning when he was a eager and nobody. Mm-hmm. And helped make him to what he was, and then John turned drugs. He just the drugs.
Yeah, Johnny Watt, right? That's Bob Chin did the Johnny Watt.
He was. That was his creation. He wrote that.
All right. Well, I heard a lot of mixed stories about John Holmes, and most of them not so great. But I wasn't there. The
worst story is that after he knew he had AIDS, he went and worked and didn't tell anybody. Mm-hmm. To me, that's the only. Well, that's not the only, but that's the crime he did against the public. Yeah. And he did against us, all the people that got in the saddle with those women that he'd been in the saddle with AIDS. Because that was a death sentence. That wasn't, everybody was dying of AIDS then. Nobody lived through that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's despicable.
Yeah.
So, I want to make sure that we show your book, put your book up. He wrote a beautiful book. Richard Pacheco, Howie Gordon, wrote a beautiful book called Hindsight. It's 680 pages. I read the whole thing.
But it's got big print and 400 pictures.
Right. And it's got a foreword by Whoopi Goldberg, who says a lot of nice things about him. As a matter of fact, you got a picture with Whoopi Goldberg right there. And the book is brilliantly wrote. I love it. Look at Whoopi. Truth is, this Whoopi right here, I'm really interested in.
That was the 1984 Erotic Awards. in L.A.
She was
She was my guest. Yeah.
she's not so popular yet.
Well, she's done The Color Purple, so it's happening.
Yeah, but she's, for me, I like dark skinned girls. She looks hot, like
yeah.
she's horny.
Yeah.
Can you say anything like that?
I can't because
can't?
my wife and her were too good friends. That wasn't going to happen.
Oh no, but would you say that at that point in time she was a hot girl?
I would say that she was doing her best to cover that up. She wore loose-fitting clothes. She never played up that part of herself. In socially, she was not trying to get you hard on.
But she had a body.
Oh yeah,
She had a body. She had a. I bet to me she looked like she had a butt. Did she have a butt?
never got close to.
No. In the jeans, she didn't wear jeans.
Could not tell.
Okay.
Just didn't see her in any sexual way.
All right. Well, I'm gonna put it out there.
The most sexy picture I ever saw of her was when Annie Leibovitz put her in a bathtub of milk.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And you see that was her being playful and being sexual, but I never knew her in that way.
But she looked hot to me, and I loved to fuck her back then. But anyways,
I was under orders.
But the book Hindsight is a brilliant book.
In fact, one story. I was going to L.A. and Whoopi was going back to L.A. and I said, "Well, I'll travel with you. We'll travel together." And so we got on the airplane together. And she said, "She hates flying. I mean, really hates flying." Yeah. So she, like, when the plane started to take off, she's got my arm, and she's clutching it, and it's like squeezing really hard.
How tall is she, by the way? I'm just
5'4", 5'3", something like that.
Okay.
My wife had given her the instruction. Whoopi and I were going to share a hotel room.
Oh, yeah? And
she said to my wife told her, "Don't let him fuck any of the starlets while we're there. Just, don't. That's your job." So, okay. So I hooked up that night with Kelly Nichols.
Uh-oh.
And
breaking the law.
Well, I didn't bring her up into the room with Whoopi, but in the parking lot of the hotel, Kelly and I kind of had a little play in the back seat for a while. And then I went up to the room, and so it didn't work for you.
Oh, so you were kind of like very low profile about it?
Yeah, I didn't.
You didn't get busted?
Well, I see, the thing about my wife and I is we can't do that.
I understand.
That was the basic thing. This is the one you don't have to do that.
Uh-huh.
So you have to live with the consequences of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And but lying makes the whole game. The game's over. The game's over. That's the one thing we have. So we don't need to do that. Mm-hmm. So don't do that. Or work through whatever we have to work through. And for 50 years and going, it's still working. But the moments with the most difficult part, like there was a movie. Chuck Vincent hired me to be in a movie called In Love, and with Kelly Nichols. And this is after we've met and really were flashing all over each other. I was very eager to work with her.
Had you worked with her before?
Yeah, but there was that crazy scene with the director was her ex-boyfriend.
Okay.
So
yeah. No hardcore.
Yeah. So now we're gonna make a movie together, and that will be great. And this is big time because this is Chuck Vincent. I never worked for him before, and he flew in from New York, and I hadn't been offered too many leading parts. That was always John Leslie territory. I would get the supporting actor role. So now I'm getting offered the lead opposite Kelly Nichols in a Chuck Vincent movie.
But you're still getting paid $1,000 a day, right?
Yeah.
No matter what.
Well, for this movie, yeah.
Mostly.
Well, I tried to hold that line as best I could, and if I didn't, I turned it down. Because if you don't turn it down, they'll never pay you $1,000 a day. You have to turn it down in order to get it. So you might sacrifice it. Because a lot of people I turned down, and then the next time they called me, they knew what the price was, and they were ready to pay it, or they wouldn't have called me, and it worked. So that's how I managed. Plus, I wasn't the kind of guy that, in most of the movies with John Leslie, he'd have 4 sex scenes. I'd have 1, which was perfect for me.
4 sex scenes in a movie?
Huh? Yeah, that's how it should have been. I only did 2 or 3 or 4 movies like where I had the 4 or 5 sex scenes, and I would be green by the end of it. That was too much for me.
Was he a good performer?
John?
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, yes.
Okay.
John really liked it. He was another guy who would take time in the middle of a scene to enjoy himself. I mean, because he could.
Okay.
And did. He was great. I resented it a lot because I was in competition with it all the time. But I really respected it. I saw it. I saw the power. And I also had to see, we were in a cultural war, John and I. I mean, he was like Santino from The Godfather. He looked at Michael fighting for his country, idiot. John looked at Berkeley like, idiot. You know, he just, nothing. No, fucking idiot. You're an idiot. I'm not an idiot.
I can understand it, but
And John and I, so we had that edge between us. And but we also had earned each other's love and respect in the battlefield of making these movies and dealing with Sam. Sam was tough to deal with because it was his way or the highway. And John really bristled under that kind of control. But the reason he got to be John Leslie was Sam, because Sam really put him front and center in the game and gave him a career, gave him a field of which to display the talents. And then I forgot where we were at the time.
Chuck Vince is where we were.
Oh, okay. I'll go back to that. Chuck Vincent. So Chuck Vincent wants to hire me for this. And Sam, and he wants to meet me in Palm Springs. So they give me a plane ride to Palm Springs in a hotel room. I'd never been there. I bought fancy clothes for this, and my wife comes with me. And Sam and Chuck and I and Chuck's cameraman, Larry Ravine, we all go out to dinner. And it's a wonderful dinner. Then we go back to the whole room. We start talking about the deal. And everything is not the deal. We talk about the movie. And everything's fine. So Sam says, okay, I'm going to go to bed. And great. So Sam leaves. So then Chuck gets down to some details about $1,000 a day, and I won't work with anybody who has herpes, because herpes was the difference between a vaginal birth and a cesarean section. And we were 7 months pregnant. I was not going to fuck a girl with herpes and give it to my wife. Stupid. Not going to do it. And Chuck Vincent says to me, herpes? What are herpes? He's making fun of me. And we're all drunk, which isn't helping. And I don't feel like being made fun of about that because I'm defending my marriage and my lifestyle, and it's the right choice. And, you know, you're making fun of me? Who the fuck are you? I mean, you want to see me get crazy because you got to be crazy to fight. That's what, you know.
So you're ready to fight?
I just don't talk to me like that, you know. And he was talking to me like that. He was just making fun of me because he's used to having his way. He's got the money. And Larry Ravine is right with him. And so Larry Ravine, the cameraman, comes over to me and puts his arm around me. I don't want his arm around me. And I throw it off. And everything just changed. And in the morning, we make a deal. We think we have a deal. But we separate in the morning and we go away. And then I get a call a couple of days later. We've decided to hire Jerry Butler. Larry's the one that called me. Chuck doesn't think that I'd be able to handle you. And I had never had a reputation that was hard to handle ever. But that night, they pushed me to a place where I was, you know, I fought back. And it cost me that job. Okay. That was a major movie, In Love, starring Jerry Butler and Kelly. And at that point, I was running a fever for Kelly. And that really was not a good idea for my marriage, who's 7 months pregnant. And I'm lucky I didn't have that job.
Why?
Because I wasn't with Kelly Nichols. Hollywood marriages are fragile.
Oh, I got you.
And that's why. Because you have all this intimacy with someone that you have not earned. And you get it, and it tastes good. And all of a sudden, you forget that 1,000 miles away, there's somebody with your baby. And that was one of those kind of things where it took me years to make my peace with that. But I did. And
so the Kelly thing was pretty serious.
I was gone. You know, I was ready for more.
Wow.
And it was not, my marriage could not have survived that.
So it's fun. I got her.
Well, like I said, we've worked that out. And in fact, when I last talked to Kelly, had some time alone with her. She was a guest on Patrick Palmer's podcast. Do you know Patrick Palmer?
Yeah.
She was on the podcast, and I was talking to her like, I said, I was one of the many people in the audience talking on the screen. I'm on that show a lot. It's one of his regular guests. And I said, Kelly and I probably had more time being dramatic off camera than on camera. We only did like 2 movies together. And one of them, I didn't have a part with her. So this one, I just wanted to get close. But it was just something about her. You read it in the book. You read it.
Well, I mean, sometimes the girls just have that chemical reaction.
Yeah, and I did too. So I view the fact that I didn't get to be in that movie as a gift from the gods, because it didn't put me in a place that I was not emotionally prepared to deal with, and would have put a stress on me that I could have fucked up what's been a right place for me to be in my life with the right person. Yeah. So, but every time I see her, it's like,
all right. That's fine. All right, I'm always interested in the girls. I'm going to run down some names real quick.
Sure.
All right. Probably most of them you work with, maybe some you haven't. But anyways, just a quick little rundown. Give me, a quick statement on them. All right. Sharon Mitchell.
Never worked with her.
Wow, really?
And consider myself lucky. She's a wild child. I knew her through Tigger, the star of Nothing to Hide. They were lovers, and they were, at that point, dealing with some pretty serious drug issues. And I didn't want any part of that. So Sharon and I, we've become friends in the post-porn years. Mm-hmm. I really respect the work she did with AIM, and I respect the power that she has. I see her from the beginning competing with Annette Havens of the world and holding her own and lasting a long time. And still, to this day, will throw a hip at you. And I've been on some shows with her, like Damiano's show where he's doing Deep Throat. She and I were on the podium together for one of those. And she's a load. She's a load. There's not much of a filter between the brain and the mouth. And when the cameras are running, it's even thinner. So
she's I work with her. And I was a fan of her. She's just a strong, sexy girl. Well, let's move on.
There's a fabulous picture of her and I, where I lifted her up over my shoulders in front of a whole ballroom full of people, and it turned out she wasn't wearing underwear. So I had just taken off my underwear and given them to Betty Dodson.
Was that the Night of the Stars?
Yeah. And then I wrote, the caption was, as you can see from this picture, I was not the only one who didn't wear underwear that night. And there's a picture of her from behind. It takes
right. So let's move on to Veronica Hart.
Veronica Hart, outstanding human being. All the way. All parts, all facets, enormously erotic. When I met her, there were 3 film companies all staying at the Howard Johnson's in Marin, different movies. And next door to me was Juan Fernandez, the cameraman, who was a very suave, handsome, brilliant cinematographer. And there was a knock at my door. And I went to open my door, and it wasn't for me. It was for Juan next door. And it was Veronica Hart wearing a fur coat. And from inside Juan's room, with me looking at Sharon and Sharon looking at me, and I said Sharon. Veronica. I hear Juan go away, I'm busy. Meaning he had another woman in there. All the women wanted him. Yeah. All of them. And Veronica looked at me and said, want some company?
Wow.
This was like, around midnight. Uh-huh. And I said, sure. And she came in my room. I closed the door. She opened up her fur coat. She had nothing on.
Huh.
So.
Was she a good fuck?
Great fuck.
Good pussy?
Yeah.
I mean, because you fucked her off camera, so you could say if it was good enough.
I don't differentiate. It fuck includes the pussy,
Yeah, but do you know the difference? Because sometimes, like,
I don't think that way. I don't measure it that way. You have it down to the sense. I remember you in the conversation with Herschel about this, and I don't really see
see,
body parts that way.
Neither did Eric Edwards, I think, in the interview. But you stick your dick in a pussy, and then you could fuck it, and nothing happens. But you stick it into a crazy bomb pussy, and you're like, oh motherfucker, because you get to come real quick because the pussy is dangerous, and everybody knows. I mean, not everybody. A lot of people understand this.
I don't know how to separate that from the human being that I'm fucking.
Okay.
I really don't. They go together because there are some women I don't know. Some women I didn't really get to know upstairs or have a sense of who they were, but yet the sex felt good. But it was a total thing. It was the whole body's involved. It wasn't just an isolated sense of the pussy itself. I didn't really separate it like that.
I mean, I can understand what you're saying in one point, but when you have a girl with a crazy pussy and you have a connection with her, then you're really in trouble.
Okay, well.
You know what I mean? Like you're saying, because you like to have a hot connection to make it good. Yeah, I understand that, but the genetics are not all created equal.
Well, that's, I was thinking about that because I remembered your interview with Herschel, and I remember reading in the Kama Sutra by Vatsyayana. In fact, I brought it with me because I thought it might come up in the conversation. The Kama Sutra says there's 3 genital sizes for both men and women. Big is called horse or elephant. Medium is bull or mare. And small is hare or deer. It says you can have great sex with up to 1 size difference between the two of you. But you wouldn't want to have a horse or elephant dick and try to fuck a hare or deer pussy, or vice versa. And that's how they first started distincting. This is just vaginal sex they're talking about, which is the arena we're playing here. And, I thought I'd been invited, do I want to fuck Vanessa Del Rio? Now, I love Vanessa Del Rio. Hot looking, pretty in her time. But not for me. No? She's bigger than me. It's another one. Is it in? I just, the whole gestalt is just, our bodies aren't going to work. Unless, there's not, you don't see women that big having a really small pussy. That doesn't know how the bodies generally go. Well, I don't know what you know. You have your experience. Yeah, I mean, I've seen girls that are slim and trim and small have giant canyons. I've seen some girls that are big be tight as hell. Well, okay. And I fucked them all, I think you got more experience than me in that department. All right. So, okay. So let's move on. Veronica's sexy. She's hot. She was hot in her time. Yeah. There's a sex scene that I still watch and jerk off with if John Leslie fucking her in the ass. Okay. It was. So you like anal sex with the girls? Well, when I get to have it. I've had very little of it. Okay. That's why I like it. Things you get a lot of. I mean, I had a girlfriend once who that's all she liked. The older one. Then after about a year of it, I was like, I didn't like it anymore. It's like it's too much. Yeah. So the things that you don't have are the things that are hot for you. I'm a pussy connoisseur, so I like pussy. But I did like probably 500 to 1,000 anal scenes. So I did what I didn't. I just But anyways, so let's move. Danielle Martin. I worked with her once, and it was an interesting moment. This guy. I remember the movie. What's the movie? I don't know. Doesn't remember. There was a movie, and she was the star of it. And the guy was the new director, and he was talking me up one day, and I said, "Sure, let's go." And then he asked me my rate, and I said $1,000, and he went, "Oh, I can't. I can't. Well, I can't work with you. Call me when you can pay me $1,000." All right. 3 days later, I had just finished jerking off, and the phone rings. It's him. He's shooting this movie with her, and the guy who was supposed to fuck her couldn't get it up. Would I come over and stunt cock? And he'd pay me $1,000. Oh, Jesus. Now, at this point, I'm pretty much a pro. And I'm thinking, well, I just came. So I got to drive to Marin. That's going to be like an hour. Maybe be 2 hours before I have to come. I could do this. It's $1,000. Right. For a quick little stunt cock, a fucking dream. Yeah. And so I'll be there. And I went, and I fucked her. And I couldn't tell you anything about her because all my consciousness was, is my dick working or not? Oh, really? I got hard. I'm in. And once I'm in, that's really because I pretty much just head for the finish line. And I started getting soft. I went, uh-oh. no, don't, no. Come on, stay with it. Stay in the saddle. And I came. And I made a piece of art when I came home. There's a picture. I had a character called Sir Isaac Newton Chicken Man. It was the head of Isaac Newton on the body of a chicken. And he's holding a check for $1,000. And the caption is, "This one I did just for the money."
But to me, she was like hot looking.
John and Joey went on and on about her. And I didn't, I was working. I wasn't paying attention to that at all. Nothing personal happened other than I didn't fail.
All right. Ebony Eyes. Do you ever work with her?
No, don't know her.
Sahara, light-skinned black girl.
Never heard of her.
Angel Kelly.
No, didn't work with her, but liked her, was friendly with her. I think I was retired by then.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
She was pretty, huh?
I only worked with a black woman once in the business.
Oh, yeah?
And it was very new, and I was nobody and she was nobody, and we were making a loop, and she was really rough handling my dick.
Was she strong?
Just hurt.
Is she pretty?
When you're hurting my dick, I don't care what you are.
Okay. All right. Taja Ray.
Did not fuck her.
You see her around?
Heard the name.
Oh, okay. She looked like cute. I guess she was probably the later 80s. Angela Barron.
Don't know her.
You already said Lily Marlene. So Erica Boyer.
She worked with John in Talk Dirty to Me, and I was part of I was in some scenes with her, but we never had sex. John fucked her. There's like I said, there were like 5 or 6 characters that John fucked, and I wanted to fuck, but they all said no to me in the movie.
Oh, okay. She looked pretty?
Yeah, she looked gorgeous.
Okay. I think a lot of these girls have passed.
I know that.
Danielle Martin's gone. I think Erica Boyer's gone.
Yeah.
So anyways, Linda Wong.
Linda Wong, I caught in her very last movie.
I remember. But was she, yeah, I mean, excuse me, go ahead.
She was crazy. She kept saying to me, first of all, Charles Webb, the director, cast me as an 18-year-old. I was 32. She thinks she's going to be working with an 18-year-old guy. I looked 18, but I wasn't. And so when I meet her, she's disappointed right off the bat because I'm not 18. And I said, well, you worked it out with Charles. Charles thought we'd be good together.
How old was she?
I don't know.
Old? Your age or older?
I don't know.
Okay.
She was pudgy. She looked older. She looked like she kept saying things like, it didn't make any sense to me. She was when I do this, I'm in all the way. I mean, it's like I give everything, and sure, and I'm going to make a great movie, and okay, sure. She was thinking she had retired, and it was clear at this point that she needed money, and she was doing this for the money. And Charles had sold her a bill of goods about this was really going to be an award-winning kind of level movie, and it wasn't. So she's given me this big, we're going to have to work on this and work on that, and I'm fine, because these are all the things that I valued as well. But when it came to do the movie, it was like what Charles would call a savage dog shoot, which means it's everything's been down to the bone, the salaries and everything, and it's time to shoot the movie, and I show up on the set, and she doesn't like my hair.
Huh.
Okay, so Charles gives me $20, says go get a haircut. So I go get a haircut, and I come back. Okay, now she's in her room. I'm on the set waiting for her, and I can't get her to come out of the room. And I finally leave the room. I said, Charles, I don't know what's going on. She doesn't want to come out of the room. You're the director. It's your job. It's not mine. I tried. I don't know what's going on. And so I don't know what he's done. Probably a fair amount of drugs and alcohol was applied to the problem. And she comes out of the room. And we start shooting a sex scene, which was possible. I mean, I had a lot of experience dealing with minimum coming at me and supplying an erection and an orgasm for it. And I succeeded in that. But it was alienating. It wasn't this great thing that she thought she was going to be, this great piece of art that she was going to be making with Charles. It wasn't that at all. And I think within a month she was dead.
I saw that. 36 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was not one of my highlights of my life or my career.
Gloria Leonard.
Never had sex with her. Fell in love with her. I was invited to New York to act in Candida Royale's film Sensual Escape with Nina Hartley, and Gloria was the director. And I stayed at her house, and she and I really hit it off. She's 9'7", so I don't
Right.
put a bucket on her head.
6 foot tall? How tall? It's big, 6 foot tall?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least. I mean, to me, especially.
All right.
So we had nothing happening on a sexual way. But her mind, her kindness, her intelligence, and her heart. We had a wonderful time together. And she wrote me a lovely note saying, I feel like I've known you forever. And I hope we see each other more. And I have that in my diary now. Then she directed the scene. The scene won. She got Best Director for that for a scene in New York, and I got Best Actor, and Nina got Best Actress. So it's an award-winning scene. It's kind of cute. It was feminist billed that way, meaning that a woman could watch the scene and not end up hating men, which sometimes in porn is easy to do.
How about Samantha Fox?
That was wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I'm 7 months pregnant. I'm so filled with love for my wife. My wife and I figure I should make this movie because we need the money. And Samantha shows up, and you read all this, but the story was I was so excited to be working with her. She had just been 2 years running the Best Actress in New York and in L.A. for her work. And I was just hitting that level of the business. Usually I lost to Jamie or John or whoever, but this year I had some pretty good competition going in, and Samantha is trying to get Bobby Astor to ask her to marry him. Ask her to marry him. Yeah. So my wife and I are coaching her about how to get a guy to take that step. And it's very beautiful that we're hanging out together and talking that. Because she and I decide, we're both staying in the same hotel. We have a week to go till we shoot the movie. And we only have one sex scene in the whole movie. So should we fucking see if there's anything there, or should we just save it for the movie? And everything said, save it. This scene is, you don't need it. And I didn't. And she didn't need it because she's an old pro. And so we would just meet on the set. Okay, the day of our sex scene, we talk, and we have long dialogue, a lot of dialogue. This is for Summer and Eddie. Do you know them? They were two of the better directors in the business. They did Scheherazade. They did big budget, big costume epics. They love costumes. So they were always top dollar, though. They paid the best, and they made really classy movies. And they had given me this lead part in this film. So the day we're going to shoot the scene is all this dialogue, and finally it gets to be we're going to be in bed shooting the movie, and we come out in our get fuck clothes. And it was a wedding night scene from our wedding night. That's what we're reenacting. So I'm in a tuxedo, and it's an actual. They love getting real costumes. Like I had a 1965 tuxedo on, like I could tell the difference. And she had on 1965 whatever women were wearing, and we're dressed up, and it's our wedding night. And she gets a phone call while we're on the set, right before we start fucking, and it's Bobby Astor calling from New York.
Who's Bobby Astor?
That was the boyfriend.
Boyfriend, okay.
Yeah.
He's a porn actor?
He was a huge porno actor on the level with Jamie Gillis in New York.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he was called the clown prince of porn. He had all the funny parts, and he was gigantic in the New York industry.
Good performer too?
Great performer. That's what he's an actor as well. But he also was big. He had a big dick, so he was good at both. You had to be in those days. I mean, you didn't get very big if you were only one or the other. If you could do both, you were a star. And he was up there with Jamie Gillis, truly.
Jamie was the man for a long time.
Well, he became that. But Bobby was up there in the beginning with making the same kind of movies he was making and the same level.
How many years would you think that guy lasted? Bob Astor, I'm just
I
curious.
have no idea.
Okay.
He never made it out to the West Coast. He never worked in California.
Okay. So anyway,
it's him on the phone talking to her. And when she gets back in bed with me, he had been at the New York Critics Awards. And when Samantha gets back in bed with me, she tells me, I just won in New York the Best Supporting Actor Award and the Best Actor Award. You want to talk about foreplay?
they got your dick hard, huh?
No shit. And now
And she's excited.
she's the queen. And I'm just been declared the fucking king. I'm on the moon. I'm on the moon. And Eddie,
What was the name for what movies? Do you know?
yes, it'll come to me. Irresistible.
Okay.
Irresistible.
With Marilyn Chambers' part.
No, that was Insatiable.
And say, okay.
So we're going to start having the sex scene. And instead of, Eddie puts on music for a trigger. He's not going to play it in the movie because it costs money to use it. But the song is, You're Every Woman in the World to Me.
Is that Air Supply or?
Yeah. You're every woman in the world to me.
Beautiful song.
Yeah. And not only that, at that moment, she is every woman in the world.
Was she hot? Was she pretty?
God, yes. And I don't know if it's, I can't do objective beauty here. She was gorgeous, and she was hardy. She was really experienced. She really had been on top for a long time in New York.
Could you say the pussy's good? Or you still can't hit that?
I loved it. I was, I loved the whole thing. Is all I'm saying. But she at that point in time, there was no difference between her and my wife. The magic of the song was taking me there. It's like, it worked. It was all one. Okay, it really was in that moment. And I called it there in the book. I said, you asked me what the best sex scene in my career was. There were 3 of them, and they were different, but they were all 3 the best I ever had. And that was one, and Annette Haven was another, and Georgina was the third. And this was the last of those. And I felt just blessed. Just really blessed that I got to have that part in that moment with her. And
Well, she was hot.
yeah.
How about Ginger Lynn?
Ginger Lynn, I think, was in, I don't know if she did a movie before this, but I think it was her first or second movie I was in with her. It was this huge movie at the end of the movie era, 10 Little Maidens. The male cast was Jamie Gillis, Harry Reams, Eric Edwards, Paul Thomas, and me.
That's great, right? That's good memories.
But that's the top drawer,
Uh-huh.
In fact, we took a picture together, which is in the book, and I had a sign up, John, wish you were here, because he was the only one missing that felt like he should have been at that level.
I got you, yeah.
And
not John Holmes, John Leslie.
no, John Holmes was already dead.
All right.
The king is dead. Long live the king. And the women were Lisa DeLeo, Amber Lynn, who is Jamie's girlfriend now, in her first movie with him, Ginger Lynn.
Did you fuck Ginger?
No.
Oh, so you didn't fuck her?
I got a blowjob from her.
How was it?
But it wasn't all the way to... I was with Janie Robbins. Do you know Janie Robbins?
I know, I heard that name someplace.
Red hot.
Maybe I heard it from your book. I don't know.
Red hot. The amount of money spent on the 10 actors and actresses would have financed maybe 20 videos. I mean, it was the salary on that movie was the last of the big movies that was made.
Is that the food one? Is that the food fucking where Jamie's fucking the turkey or something?
Yes, that's the one. He just trashed Amber. He trashed her. She said, took pictures of it. I had my camera that day. The book, she looked like, and she was really, she doesn't remember this part, but she was really pissed off to have been treated that way by Jamie. And Jamie it was his world. You were just visiting. He could do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
And he did. The stuff that Ron Jeremy's in jail for, Jamie could have easily been him. But he didn't live long enough to pay the dues on any of that stuff.
What about Christy Canyon?
Never worked with her doing sex. Worked with her a lot as a co-star in the shows and talking about business, but never got down and dirty with her.
Amberlynn?
Never. I don't suspect we'd work because she's taller than me. When a woman's taller than me, I turn into a little brother.
Yeah. All right. So this is an interesting one. The little fling that you had with the beautiful Shauna Grant.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because I remember Shauna Grant. She was stood out. You know, I saw 1986 or 87. Whenever, the tragedy happened, I remember seeing her in the magazines, right?
Yeah.
And I would say, man, this girl really hits me. Like she's pretty. She's got me. You know what I mean? It must have been 85 or 86, somewhere around there. So she was hot, right? Tell me about your fling. She comes on the set and then you're going to...
She was a teenager. Okay? Hot doesn't apply. Hot is the men that looked at her and imagined that, but she was a rookie. Her body was brand new to her. She didn't know anything. I was in her first movie with her. And Jamie Gillis went crazy for her. He wanted her. And I'm the one that's cast opposite her. So I remember saying to Jamie, look, will you fuck her soon? Because I've got to be in love with her by next week. Okay, or by Thursday I'm supposed to be in love with her. And he said, I'll do what I can. She terrified him. He was a man, and she was 18. And she was in no way prepared for the Jamie Gillis or the world that she had just entered. At first, when I met her, this was working for Svetlana and David. Do you know them?
No.
Two of the worst people on the planet.
I remember big arguments with them, huh?
I went out of my way to not settle scores with my book. It's just not what I did. Yeah. But these people I made an exception for. They were the only people I ever met that I wanted to see deported. I really wanted. She was just a witch who practiced improvisational sadism on her actors as a director. She just loved to fuck with you, just for fun. And he was like little Lord Fauntleroy, who was her stooge, and just did whatever had to be done. And then when you get to trusting him, he'd fuck you too. They were just not good people, and they were terrible to work for. They owed Jamie big time because he had helped them get started in the business. He was a huge star, and they were newcomers, and he helped them get footing. And they got into a pattern where they really were good at attracting brand new girls to the business. I'm talking about 18-year-old girls, and they always had fresh ones.
And she was 18.
Colleen was, and with her two co-stars, was that age or close to it. And when I met, I had done one movie for them earlier, which was a one-day shoot, and they had me Bad Girls, the original, and I did it all in the British accent, which I'm very good at, and I was able to carry that off. I played a photographer. And we shot the scene. The scene was this lushy model who had ate another young one, and it was a good scene. And I was young and healthy, and I gave them a really raucous scene where I treated the young scallywag well. All right, they got a good scene out of it, and they wanted me to be in the next movie. So okay, no British accent in this.
Well, was she hot, Shauna Grant?
Yeah, and okay, so I come down. And it's a really nasty negotiation between my wife and them. I'm holding out for $1,000 a day, and I make them pay it. And it's going to be like 12 days.
That's great.
Yeah. So I'm anxious for this movie. 10 days. I'm anxious for this movie to go well because the money's good. And when I come down to meet them, the day the whole cast didn't gather for a couple of days. So there were like 2 days we were just shooting with a skeletal deal. And then she shows up, and I happen to be wearing this red bathrobe. It's like a long robe, that something in Peter Pan would wear, that kind of costume. And when Svetlana was introducing me to Colleen, she couldn't even introduce me. She said, "You embarrass me wearing that. What's wrong with you?" Well, thanks a lot, Okay. And Jamie walks up to Colleen and just falls at her feet and starts kissing her feet. And Colleen is who she was. Shauna Grant was it didn't last long. But Colleen is terrified. He's a grown man, and he's licking her feet, and she doesn't. And I know, and she knows that we're cast to be lovers in the play, and not him. But Jamie wants her, and let's face it, he's the bull goose on this shoot. So I'm trying to, but I'm used to that. I've worked with John. I know how to deal with a leading man when I'm not him. So that's why I said to Jamie, you know, can you get this out of the way before we start shooting? But she just terrified him. Every time he'd be around, she'd come and kind of hide behind me. And I let it happen. Because, okay, you know, I see he scares you. And if he doesn't care, I can't make him care. But I can be whatever you need to be if you feel threatened or in danger.
But this is our first scene, right?
This is just off camera. This is all backstage stuff I'm talking about.
Right, but
rehearsals and things.
The first, yeah, but I mean, in the book, you were having fun with her at the hotel.
Well, this is after we started shooting, and at one point where she was very cold to me, like 2 days later, it just changed. She started being nice to me. Okay. I was married, you know. I'm not looking for that. When that kind of thing happens, that's trouble. I don't need trouble. Okay. and after a Kelly or two, you know, no, thanks. So she starts being friendly to me, and then it turns into a different kind of relationship. And we fall in love. The characters are like saying, I've never felt this way before. It's all fresh love. And so we're doing it in the movie, and we're doing it. And it's like I'm in L.A. At the shit-ass hotel. We were in a hotel. It's like Times Square. It's like glasses breaking at midnight. There are women prostitutes out there. You know, they're not women. I don't know what they are. And then it's just, Jamie loves it. It reminds him of New York. And so that's where we are. And we really bond together against the tyrant, Svetlana. Svetlana, originally when I came down to be on the shoot, I had a job lined up shooting a commercial for Apple. And it was a payday, and I wanted to do it. And I called her and said, I have this commercial. And she said, oh, don't do that. I need you that day on the set. So I said, well, okay, that's a bigger paycheck. So I let go of the commercial. So I come down that day, specifically because she asked, and she says, oh, we won't need you today. And I said, what? She says, we don't need you today. I told you that.
She's fucking with you always, huh?
Yeah.
But back to Shauna Grant. So,
okay. Shauna Grant.
Fuck those people, right?
All right, so
Shauna Grant, I just want to know, because she looks succulent to me.
She is.
And you fall in love with her, and you're not supposed to. Right? I'm putting you on blast right now.
In the movie, I am.
But you did kind of a little bit off camera.
Well, you know, there's things that happen that you don't know are happening.
Yeah, but I mean, we're free here. It's long gone. But she was easy to fall in love with, right?
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I didn't. She wasn't in my hotel room every night. You know, that was. It wasn't.
It's all good. I'm not the judge.
Because I told my wife that, you know, what happened, and she went, "Oh no.
Wait, you got a little red on your face.
Yeah. So
all right, it's all good. Let's move on.
I try to keep it at a distance, and so okay.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah. Well, that's the spot I'm on. It's another Kelly Nichols story. When those things happen, and there are other ones too. Who's the other one?
Shauna Grant.
Sharon Kane.
Sharon Kane.
Oh, just talked
Really?
the other day. She's
Wow.
Baby Loving Bo. That was my first lead.
Really, Sharon Kane, huh?
She's-
she's cool.
She's spectacular.
But back to but for me, Shauna Grant just had the look for me. But I just want
I
to
believe that, but she didn't have it for her. She didn't know who she was. And then as I wrote in the book, I mean, we had this. I didn't want to fuck in L.A. because it was illegal. Yeah. And I didn't want to get busted for that. And they were looking around.
Big deal.
We started getting close to each other is what happened. And then we're playing that. That's our part. We're playing anyway. That's the story.
But
in the
you
movie.
did anyways.
Yeah, both the reality. And then.
So you're succulent. Come on, man.
Okay, but wait. So I know it would happen. Because I told Svetlana I'm not having a sex scene in L.A. It's not. And she's fighting me and trying to shame me. And it gets ugly. And I don't care. Fuck you, you know. And I deal with David. Fuck him too. So they're just the worst people I ever worked for. You know, and that includes all the mob people. They were much better people. So I make them come up here to shoot the sex scene, and they do. So now we're shooting the sex scene in San Francisco. And as you read...
You almost got busted, or you did get busted?
No, I couldn't get it up is what happened.
Oh.
I had a premature ejaculation is what happened in this
With
one.
Shauna Grant.
Yeah. We start fucking, and there's a Russian cameraman, because a lot of her crew was Russian. And we start the sex scene. She goes out of the room, and I'm really happy about that. And so I get in her, but all of a sudden, it's like, this never happened to me before, in private or in movies. I've never had a premature ejaculation. Mm-hmm. I'm in it for like 10 seconds, and I'm going to come, and I know it. And I know they got no footage. They got nothing. They're still, getting warmed up. And I tell the guy, get ready to shoot, because I am. And the first squirt comes out, and I cut it off. Once that happens, that's it. I cut it off, and you don't get it back. It's gone. It's gone. You're trying to save it, and it's gone. And I went, okay, this is not cool. Tell you what, let's just wait 5 minutes. We'll start over, and I'll get another arm. We'll get it. I'm dreaming. It never comes back. And so we try, and after about half an hour, Svetlana comes back on the set, and she's really angry. I've made them come up to San Francisco to shoot this at great expense, and I'm giving them nothing. And she said the immortal line to me, if I'd have wanted a scene like that, I could have had real actors. She knows how to hurt a guy. So the scene ended with me standing over her with a chair raised. And that's when they tackled me. They said, don't do it. It's not worth it.
All right.
And that's how we left it.
Let's go. This is a pretty big deal, I think, right? And to me, it's got to be because the pussy had to be good and she's so cute. That's all I can get out of it. Francis Ford Coppola brings her to the awards. Yeah. Francis fucking Ford Coppola, who's the monster director of The Godfather, he brings her to the awards.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Well, she calls me from her room and invites me to come over and meet Francis. And I said to her, my wife was with me, and my kids were with my kid. That's only one kid. They're in the hotel. And, what I neglected, well, you read in the book, but the short version is that I was her friend, and I was giving her advice about how to pursue her career, because she was brand new. And one time in our house, the phone rings like at 12:30 at night. I don't know anybody that's going to call me at 12:30. It's Colleen. And she wants to talk. And I'm in bed with my wife. We were sleeping. And when she realizes it's Colleen, she goes. And I take the phone, go in the next room. And I'm talking to her, and my wife comes in the next room and goes. And I'm trying to get off the phone because I know I'm going to be paying for this for a while. And she just wants to talk about the movies, and she's all excited because John's being nice to her, John Leslie, and everybody has now spread the word about Colleen. So what's
the word?
Fuck her.
You
want get some of this.
Get some of that.
That's what John and Joey do. They pass it, and so everybody's getting in line. They all want to turn, and that's what her career became. But for me, I had to tell her that I can't do this anymore. You can't call me late at night and don't. So then she came up to San Francisco to shoot another film after that, and it was like she needed to see me at home, and she came here. I was living in the cottage in the back, and she met Jeremy, and that's when she realized this is all a dream. That what we had there. I was a different guy. When I tried to be in the same room with her and my wife, I had two different faces trying to come on my face at the same time, and could feel it. They didn't fit on my face at the same time. They just couldn't put two faces together and be the one person. Now there are two different lives, and she saw that. And she saw that I was making the choice of my wife, and that pretty much cooled her out. There were no more calls after midnight and this and that.
What about Francis Ford Coppola? Francis Ford Coppola. What was this?
Oh, I said to her when we get to it's now that's 6 months later. It's the awards, and he's in her room, and everybody's astonished. And do I want to meet him? And I said, look, I don't think Francis Ford Coppola wants to meet me. Okay, so thank you, but no thanks. And then later she called back and said, well, he's gone now. Come on over. And my wife was not in the room then. She'd gone out with the kids. And so I said, okay, I'll stop by for a quick drink. And I went over and was in her room, and we shared a chaste kiss that said essentially, I'm not your lover, and I never will be your lover. And by now she's been fucked by John, Joey,
and Francis.
And Francis. and a whole list of other porn people.
But
she's made movies with. She's made a lot of movies in the last 6 months.
The fact is that she was fucking hot. Everybody had to fuck her. That's really the point. She was as pretty as she looked, right?
Well, I don't know that she was hot at all, ever. I know that she looked good.
Looked cute.
And everybody put their own dream on that and went after it. But I don't know that was ever her. I don't know that she ever had a real orgasm. I'm just telling you, I never experienced her as a sexual being. Mm-hmm. She just was young and pretty.
Okay.
And she was riding that and using that. And, I agonized a long time trying to understand, number one, did she kill herself or was she murdered?
That's what I want to bring up, too.
Well, because in the book, in real life, when I was in her room, just she and I, she said to me, I said, how's your boyfriend? And he said, well, if some people knew that I know what I know, I'd be in a lot of trouble. And I said to her, that sounds like a really good group of people to get away from. She said, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Okay? 3 weeks later, she's dead. What the fuck am I supposed to think?
And she wasn't a negative person, right? She wasn't acting...
She was, at the end of the night, that night, she told me she was off of cocaine. And then the awards happened, and I saw her after the awards waiting for the elevator. We were both sitting at the hotel. And she was sniffing, and I thought, oh, she's been crying. And then I realized, no, she hasn't. She's on coke. And she noticed me noticing, and she said, well, it's the awards, She was an addict.
But you don't think she killed herself?
No, I don't, but I do.
She was murdered.
Because, well... a lot of people who knew her did not think it was a stretch to imagine her killing herself. And I mean knew her at home.
Oh, really? Okay.
In Michigan or Minnesota, wherever the fuck it was. Mm-hmm. They were not, that made sense to them. It didn't make sense to me strictly because of what she had said to me. That's what really echoed loud. And, I wrestled with, well, what's my play here? Number one, I'm not a tough guy. I'm not a detective. I'm not going to go looking for a killer with what? Your words? You're bad? you murdered somebody? Who am I going to... the boyfriend's in prison, so I don't know who, I don't know how this is going to go down. But the bottom line, as I wrote in the book again, is that she's dead. And that ain't changing. So whether it's this or that or the other thing, it doesn't matter in the end.
All right, I understand. Let's I'm going to talk to you about some of your contemporary actors.
Yeah.
Right. Let's run them down fairly quick. Just a couple words on them.
Sure.
Let's start with. You kind of already said, but we talked about John Holmes and John Leslie, so we can just pass those guys up. Eric Edwards.
Great actor, beautiful man, just in his prime. Wow. What a fucking hunk. The fact that he could play a part as well as he could, he looked that good, and he could do the sex as well as he did was triple threat stuff. He didn't get the superstarness that John Leslie got or that Jamie Gillis got, but he was. In fact, he predated them. Well, not Jamie, but he was there from the beginning in New York, and so was Jamie. In post-porn years, when I would see him, we did one movie together at the very end of my career where he was the star and I had a bit part. And he said, I wished we could have made a lot of movies together. You're a good actor. And I took that as high praise from him. So I like that.
Hell of a nice guy.
Yeah, I think so.
Very nice guy. It's from what he's always given to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, all right, Jamie Gillis.
You can't write that character. Brilliant, talented, difficult beginnings to his life, orphans, kind of stuff.
All right.
Well, not mercurial like Holmes. He didn't have dark. I never saw darkness there, but I saw it was his world, and he could do what he wanted. And you like it, fine. You don't like it, fine. He didn't care. The treatment of women, hard to gauge because I'm not a woman and I didn't go through it. But there are certainly those that he abused plenty and stayed away from him. And others who enjoyed being abused and loved him. John, what I really liked was the relationship between John Leslie and Jamie Gillis because they were set up to be rivals. Jamie was the king, and here's the heir apparent coming in, and instead of a fight to the finish, they became best friends. Yeah. And they were good together. They really were a powerful twosome together.
I think one of my first scenes, I was working for Alex DeRenzi, and Jamie, Joey, and John were on the set. I guess maybe John was pretty friendly with Alex, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of power.
Yeah, it was interesting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm just a new guy, and I see them all there.
Yeah.
Watching a scene. Joey was in a scene, but Jamie and John were watching the scene.
You're looking at porn royalty there.
Yeah.
And Alex was unique among directors because it was all his shop. He didn't care. If it was a bad scene, he didn't need to put it in the movie. If you get a bad scene when you're on the other, that was in the movie. I can't take money, I put it in. But Alex, his movies were consistently a cut above everybody else's. Yeah. And he also had a lot of take about how a pussy looked. He was very visual about pussies. And I worked with a woman named Angel, who he talked about. Her pussy looks so good. It just looks so good.
He loved me, Alex.
Yeah.
And he would say to Catherine, you know Catherine, right? He would say, if you don't have TT here, I'm not doing anything. That's a pretty big compliment, right?
Yes, it is.
And I always, appreciated that because he wouldn't work without me be there, and you had all the heavy hitters there.
Yeah.
Anybody, everybody that was somebody was there. Well, anyway, but so Alex was wonderful to me.
That's a feather in your cap.
Yeah.
And to me too. I met him late in my career. He honored me quite a bit, and it was a pleasure to work with someone who just was in control of his emotions. It's all business. Boom, 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 boom. No drama, no stupid, and no wasted effort, no wasted time. The only problem I hit with him is when Seika hired me to direct her. And then for backup, she had decided I better hire a cameraman like Alex DeRenzi in case Howie doesn't get it about how to do all this. And he just fucked me over from the beginning without even meaning to.
But you set him straight.
Well, I finally, I realized, okay, what are my choices? Fire Alex DeRenzi? Number one, that's Seika's job. I can't do that, but I could try to because he's really getting in my way all over the place. Or what's the reality of the situation? The camera is his. If I fire him, there's no camera. And we just started this movie. I'm really putting a dent in everything unless I figure out a peaceful solution to this. So after the first morning where he was calling action without even looking at me, and I felt every time I was like getting slapped across the face.
You know what? He was, from my take on him, he was a little bit of a tough guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that at all. He was a big fellow, too. But I finally said to him after the first day, half day, we went to lunch. I said, can I talk to you in the back room, just me and you? And he said, oh, sure. And I had worked for him a couple of times, and he was Alex, the director, and I was Howard, the actor, and everything was different. And I said, I'm really the director of this movie, and you got to let me direct it. He said, oh, okay. And from that on, he was an angel. He just let me have it. And now, I wrote it in the book. And after one scene, I had a really hard time getting Don Hart to do the line the way I wanted it. And I worked him, and finally he got it.
Don Hart, Michael Horner?
Yeah. And Alex took me aside. I said, you really improved that scene. And that was an Oscar for me right there. That made me so proud.
He's tough.
So proud.
You know what he used to say? I heard him say a couple times on the set. Get that limp noodle or get the fuck off my set. Get that limp noodle hard or get the fuck off my set. Not me, but the other guy, right?
Yeah.
That'd be the end of a guy.
That wouldn't help too much.
Because he was just sick of waiting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's move on. We have Paul Thomas.
Amazing. Met him on my, what was that? Candy Goes to, no, and it was the Candy Stripers, my first movie. I told you about the song he did.
Yeah.
And then, on the set that day, I had my catastrophic first scene where I couldn't get it hard and suffered, and finally he was able to come. Okay, so now I'm thinking, going back to my second day, I want to talk to the men. How do you do this, guy? I'm going to just be straight. I don't know how to do this. How do you do this? And I was talking, so he was there, Don Gomez, Don Fernando, and a guy named John Rockhard. The four of us were in this scene, and I don't know if he ever had a career or not. But when I walk in, Don Gomez and John Rockhard are there's 5 women or 4 women. And this is they're setting up all morning, this big elaborate scene. So we're just sitting around waiting. And the 2 of them are like following the girls around with their dicks out. And they're trying to rub their dicks on the women. And the women are all going, ooh, no cooties. And one is going, no pay, no play. I went,
really? Even back then?
I'm in the 3rd grade here. What is going on? I can't do that. I can't be either one of those. And in the corner is Paul Thomas reading the Wall Street Journal.
He's watching his stocks.
He's cooler than all this shit. He's not. I can't do that either. So I'm nobody, and I'm all by myself. And okay, and then he did the song piece, and that's where he won me, just as a person, as a human. Okay, and then a few movies later, Hot Legs comes along, and I play his boss or something, and we had a lot of lines together. And I mean, to hear the stories about his acting career, and the fact that comes from money. Big money, and he's walked away from all that to
Sarah Lee or something.
His family owns Sarah Lee, and told him, if you do this shit, you're out. And he said, I don't care. And he went, because he had an agent with William Morris. He was all set to go on that ride, and he had talent and looks. So it's amazing.
Yeah, tall, good-looking guy, right?
He could have made it in that world easy,
easy.
And he was already wired for success in that world.
He's a lunatic.
Yeah.
I like him a lot, right? He's a fucking lunatic, right? I mean, to me, he's always cool, but
we were always peers, so I never had to deal with him. My career got hooked to John Leslie's Star early on, and they were kind of rivals. John was Hertz and Paul was Avis, and that's how it was. Do you want the number 2 guy or the number 1 guy?
Who was better?
Better at what?
Acting.
Acting like what? Nobody could play John Leslie better than John Leslie. What he played was John Leslie.
Multiple parts, so he never really played other parts?
Yeah, well, I saw him play some comedy, but that was just for goofing off every now and then. Probably the better actor, if we were going to do different roles and judge him by that variety of parts, would be Paul Thomas, because he had more training.
Okay. He loved to get high. PT. He did my podcast, right?
You think.
Let me ask real quick so I don't forget it. Is sex better high, out of your mind, or not high for you? And what drug was your favorite drug?
Well, cocaine, the first time I snorted it, and the only time was it better. It never got better after that, ever. And I snorted a lot more of it looking for that first high again.
Really?
Never as good. Pot, sometimes positive experiences, sometimes paranoia. But
when you're fucking, which one?
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I smoked years of reefer before I'd fuck.
Okay.
So that was just the way I fucked. I don't know how to, and then without it, I always thought it would be a lesser experience. But, there are times in the history of marijuana where the marijuana got in the way. The high wasn't fun anymore. So you stop for those and wait till you get to another place again. But I spent so many years being stoned all the time that it's hard for me to judge that.
So is it better with getting high or not getting high? Sex.
I can't divide that by that single category. Sex is best when you're surprised, when you're totally engaged and you find yourself having a different kind of experiences, that this is a superior level. This is something, you just caught a wave. This is a wave. This is special. And that's a function of who and what and accident. I don't know how to just do it sober or not sober and say one's better than the other. They can both be good. They can both be bad.
What do you like better?
Right now, sober, because I'm 75 years old.
Right.
You
can't fuck around.
Well, if I smoked a pot, I'll end up eating a cow afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
I can't afford the binges anymore. I already got a fat belly.
All right. Let's go back. Joey Silvera.
It just makes me smile. Joey was Art Bombhead. You remember Art Bombhead? That was the character he played in New York on the stage. He was at Show World. And he was the perfect foil for John Leslie. Joey could just, he could live in himself. He could amuse himself with everything that was going on around you and him. Only he knew what he was thinking, and he wasn't sharing it a lot of times. He wasn't that kind of social critter where he needed your approval or even your interest. He just was really an independent nation, and was a lot of fun to be around.
I did, like I said, 50 or 100 movies with him.
I maybe did 10.
Yeah. He was always super nice.
And he was always, what I also liked about him, being around, was he humanized John. Because Joey wouldn't take any shit from him. No. John behaved differently around Joey than he did when Joey wasn't there.
Oh, yeah.
And Joey being there made him a better person.
All right. Oh. So John was kind of an egomaniac a little bit?
Well, John would be whatever he needed to be to be the top. He was going to be the top dog.
Competitive.
Yeah.
All right.
And he usually was, because he was the star or he was the director all the time I knew him.
Yeah, he was top guy.
Yeah.
Passionate guy. Lovely person. I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
Herschel Savage.
I didn't know him at all when I was working in the business. We shared the stage. I wouldn't fuck that older woman, and he took my place there. That was the only time I shared the stage with him. And he was a good actor. But I got to know him in the recent years, like the last 10 years. And I really liked him a lot. We became good friends.
Nice guy.
Herschel was my Hebrew name.
Oh, yeah.
And it was also Paul Thomas's Hebrew name.
Oh, yeah.
The three of us were all Herschel. So we had recent years, Paul had us come down to Big Bear, which he has a winter house, a summer house. And we were going to write a screenplay for a show, a play, a show we could tour called The Three Herschels. And when we all got together, well, all Paul did was take drugs. And,
really?
And
what kind of drugs was he taking?
He was taking a certain amount of drugs for his medical situation he was in, and then he took some recreational stuff on top of that.
Like what, cocaine or something?
The cocaine didn't come out when I was there. It was just he was taking pills. There were pills, and I was drinking tequila, and that was enough for me then.
All right. What about Randy West?
Randy West. When I first met him on The Dancers,
Joey, and Randy West, right?
And John.
And John.
Oh yeah, the four of us were there. We did.
Okay.
John was our manager.
Okay.
You should see The Dancers. It's not a bad movie.
Was he dancing?
Yeah.
John was dancing?
Well, John was the leader, and we did a whole show where John came out and did a song and harmonica and dance, and then the three of us were the strippers, and we followed with our own acts and stripping, and we shot that one day, and we packed the house. We had our own audience, so they loved it, but we were good anyway because we all rehearsed the fuck out of it, and John's whole shtick was cut because at the end of the dancers, they had too much movie. And one of it was a straight movie. And this was being funded by Germans who wanted a porn movie. They didn't care about John singing and dancing. It was the wrong choice. We really did great work in this movie. And we had what could have been a disastrously competitive situation turned into the exact opposite. We were a tremendous team and supported each other a lot. I wouldn't have seen that coming, but it did. We were a great ensemble together. And Randy, he was the new kid in town, but he was bigger than everybody else. He was more athletic than everybody else, and he knew enough when to shut up in terms of the hierarchy that was going on in the group. We used to play catch on the set. He was a football and baseball. And when I would play catch with Randy, he would throw the ball so fucking hard that I'd have to back up so it wouldn't hurt my hand to catch it. Both seasons, football and baseball. And I'd be so far away, I couldn't reach him anymore because I got a dead arm. I threw my arm out when I was 12, ligament damage. Never really recovered. So I couldn't cover all the ground throwing at him. But a great athlete. So I said to him one day, why the fuck weren't you playing ball at the University of Miami? You're good. He said, I know, but I like drugs.
Really? You like drugs too?
I like drugs, not like pussy. That's what I did.
Fuck it. What about Buck Adams?
Don't know him.
No? Okay.
Saw him working. Seemed to be angry and hard and not the kind of guy I want to be on the wrong side of. And never really shared a set with him. But I knew Amber, and that was the brother. And that was I don't know how that worked out.
Buck came over to my house one time and said, hey, man, can I crash? After working on a set, and he stayed 6 months. We became pretty good friends.
I guess so.
Jerry Butler.
Jerry Butler. Amazingly talented. Really crazy. Jerry would create a scene in real life and not tell you it was a scene. And he would proceed to play it and use you as a partner in the improv. And you didn't know it. I went through a couple of those with him. One of them was with Svetlana. It was her movie. And we each had three partners, our three girls. And they were all young and new. So Jerry was, in the early shooting days, his girl was the only one that showed up on the set. So he was getting laid already with her. And Jamie and I were just wondering when we're going to get some pussy around here. And one night, Jerry said to me, I'm going to go fuck this other woman. I want you to take Mine out to dinner. Okay? Sure. So I do that. So Jerry has set me up with his co-star, and he's off having an affair with some other girl, keeping it secret from her. And he comes back to the hotel, and he's in a mood. He's like, something, what happened? What happened? Well, I was crossing the street, and this guy, bumped into me, he's trying to start something. And he said, and I said, well, what are you getting so upset about? He said, that reminds me of something in New York. And then he starts talking about, and he starts, he's getting louder. And he starts saying the N-word a whole lot. My son has trained me out of saying that word. And I've accepted that. So, but Jerry's yelling that word really loud in my bedroom with me and him and this girl about this guy, this N guy, bumped into me and he was trying to start a fight. And there was 3 or 4 of them, so they knew I couldn't fight back. And now he's screaming N-word, left and right, screaming in my hotel room. And I can't have that. I got too many friends that I can't accept that. And I say, you're going to have to leave here. And he won't stop. He's just screaming and carrying on. Now, Jerry, when he first came to the hotel, I saw his suitcase. He brought in 2 barbells from New York on the plane in this room. He's got 40-pound barbells. And he's got muscles on his muscles. Okay.
He's a good-sized guy.
Yeah. It's in good shape, and he had a hell of
I wrestled him one time.
All right. Well,
I wanted to see if he had because he was good size. But I put him down.
Well, I don't know if he had any skill, but he had nerve up his ass. That I knew. So he starts screaming, and I'm telling him to get out of my room. And he says, no. And I don't. I just was. You get a limit. You got a limit. I jumped up on my bed, and he grabbed both of my arms at the wrist. He's sitting. He's like right in front of me, and he grabs my arms, and I'm standing there, facing him, and I'm thinking I can knee him in the face, fucking right now.
Beautiful.
Well, but I don't do it. I just let that moment pass. And eventually he takes his hand and he ends up leaving the room. Okay. I'm not sure if any of that happened at all or if Sherry just felt like playing a scene and was rehearsing it because he did shit like that. He's an incredible actor.
Yeah.
He is.
He's at the top with everybody else?
But I don't know if what's acting and what isn't. And I don't know that he knows. So that's what I got a glimpse of in that moment.
Is he at the same level as all the other John and Eric or no?
John, I don't think is much of an actor. He was great playing a type.
All right. So Eric and Paul and PT and Jamie?
Well, I've never seen Jamie's range. Jamie's always Jamie. I mean, if you're a winning character, you don't need to be. And those are great actors. That's not being an actor. Is you come out different in every part, and that's a great actor. So are they interesting to watch? It's interesting as they are. He had a talent for improvisation, and for nerve to play this shit anywhere. I mean, nerve. Because I remember we got on camera at one point, and we were playing. The camera was running, and I took water and threw it in his face, which wasn't in the script because he was fucking with the lines. And so I just said, I had enough of this shit. And I just started laughing after I did it because the cameras are running. What's he going to do?
Nothing.
Well, he then said survive it, but it was a funny moment, and I'm glad he didn't make me pay for it later. But so I don't know. Like I said, I really respect his talent. I don't know much about his mental health. I really don't.
He died.
Yeah, he passed on.
What about last one, Ron Jeremy?
Ron Jeremy. I'm in a movie for Steven Svetlana, that first one I made, where Svetlana has this great idea. I'm fucking this beautiful leggy model, and she wants me to pull out, and they're going to put a piece of glass in front of the camera, and they want me to come on the glass. So that everybody in the audience will see cum coming right at them. And I said, that's the worst idea I've ever heard. If I'm in the audience, I don't want to see cum coming at me. I'm not going to do that. I am not going to do that. And this voice in the back of the room goes, I'll do it. Ron Jeremy. So in that scene, it's in Bad Girls 1. I don't know. I've never seen it. But there'll be a scene where you'll see me fucking with here's my dick. And all of a sudden, my dick's going to be this big and it's going to be coming. Because Ron did that shot. That's when I met him. And then all through my career, and I saw him lots and lots of times, I saw that Ron Jeremy is about Ron Jeremy 24/7. That's all he's doing. As soon as you start saying anything about yourself, he'll look at his watch and go, oh, gotta go. And he's gone. We went to some thing on a rooftop in San Francisco, and my wife was with me. And he starts hitting on her. He doesn't know who she is. And when he figures out that she's not involved with the movie and can't do anything for me, he just moves on. He's on the hustle. That's all I saw Ron Jeremy doing. It's just constantly trying to sell Ron Jeremy.
I might agree with you. This podcast is brought to you by Evasive Angles. EvasiveAngles.com. Check it out. It's some of the best black and interracial porn you'll ever see in your life. EvasiveAngles.com. All right, so let's go to this part. You were the Playgirl Man of the fucking Year.
Mm-hmm.
Man of the Year. Not just the Playgirl month, but the Man of the Year.
Yeah.
How the fuck did that happen?
Dumb luck.
Yeah.
I was sitting in a hot tub in Berkeley with a therapist who works with my wife, and she said to me, you're in good shape. Why don't you do Playgirl? She wrote the advice column for Playgirl. So I said, I had done 2 porn movies by then. And she said, I thought, well, that's great. Sure. What do we do? She said, well, I'll take some pictures and we'll send them down to Playgirl. And she took, I lent her my camera and she took about 5 rolls of film. She doesn't do well without her glasses on. So out of 5 rolls, I think 2 pictures came out in focus. And we sent those down. At the time, Playgirl had just fired their centerfold director and had a new one, brand new centerfold director. I was the first letter across her desk. And what she saw right away was I didn't have a tan line. Because up here, I've been naked in the backyard all the time. So I was tan all over. And all the men in Playgirl that applied all had white asses and tan bodies. And she got tired of looking at that. She liked the idea. Here's something different. Okay, so she said, we want you to be Mr. November. Okay. $750. We'll fly you to LA. We'll do the shoot. And you'll blah, blah, blah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool for the fat kid. Okay?
Awesome.
Now I'm going to be a centerfold.
You have the picture, right?
Yeah. Well, I have the calendar that I'm on the cover of.
The calendar. Look at that. I mean, that is... I want to be on the Playgirl calendar, man. Why are they calling me?
They should now. They're not in business anymore.
No. My brother made it on there. On the Playgirl cover.
Oh. I didn't get a cover.
Oh, really?
No.
Anyway.
They had movie stars on the cover. They never had me. I thought they should have.
Maybe he did. I thought he made a cover. Anyways, whatever. This is way back.
Was he a centerfold?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, fuck him. So, I shoot the centerfold. And for me, the photographer is very fancy. Young male. It's his apartment. And it's making a good living. He's slumming because a friend of his is the new centerfold director. So he's doing her a favor to shoot it. Mostly he does fashion stuff. And we start shooting, and I notice after a while, first of all, they shoot a lot of pictures when I'm wearing my wedding ring. And then the director notices I have a wedding ring on. She says, take it off, and let's reshoot all that because we don't want any married centerfold. So we did that. And then later, I was told in advance they're going to do 3 things. She's there to upgrade the level of fashion, upgrade the level of photography, and shoot a picture of a guy with an erection. They had never had a hard-on in Playgirl. So, okay. She didn't mention about how that was going to happen, but that's okay with me. I already had been through the trauma of porn, so I could handle that. And now we're shooting, and this is all going on. So at some point in the shoot, it starts getting weird. The photographer is keeps looking into her, and she's not anywhere to be found. And when they come around, they're just worried about clothes and the next outfit. But it's weird. I feel it. And I finally get them all. We're all in the same room at the same time. And I said, "Is this the part where you want me to have a hard on?" Yes.
Oh,
that was the elephant in the room. Nobody knew how to bring that up. This is so different from porn. You forget where the rest of the world is about that shit. So I said, okay. And then I lay down on the floor and I start to jerk myself. And the woman, there were 2 other women on the set besides the director. And one is more beautiful than the next. One is stunning. I mean, in L.A., stunning. And the other person is her little sister, who is going to be stunning, but no, she still has pimples. She's 17 or something. So and the really pretty one starts saying while I'm on the ground jerking off, and now she's raising her skirt higher. And I just started laughing because I wasn't expecting somebody to try to.
But they weren't raising her skirt.
No, she was just talking. She figured she'll help me
What
get
the fuck?
an audio thing. And I started laughing, and I said, there's other ways you could help me get a hard on.
Yeah, show me your pussy.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that to her, and she wouldn't have responded well anyway. So that didn't happen. But eventually, I got hard, and we shot that, and shot, and and the cameraman said, "Okay, I think I've seen enough of your erection to last me a lifetime. We're done." And and he said to his friend, "You should have hired me to be the centerfold. You could have saved money on a plane ticket." And she said, "Yeah, but you'd never be able to get the hard on."
But so this was the November, and then you did another one, or they just made that Man of the Year?
No, that put me in the game. And then I was flying from San Francisco back home to Pittsburgh when I stopped in Kansas City and looked in the newsstand at Playgirl, and it was the one that announced the Man of the Year contest, and they used a picture of me with a heart on, and my heart on is pointing to where do you cast your vote, which really was them like saying we like him. They gave me an extra picture and
psychological warfare.
Yeah, they allegedly had a vote. And women voted me to be Playgirl Man of the Year. At that time, Playgirl pretended like half their audience wasn't gay, which was the truth. Half of their audience was gay, 50% gay and 50% women. But they all pretended that it wasn't true, and denied it on air, and had me denying it on air. So now I'm on my way to Salem, Massachusetts to visit some friends, and we start running a campaign. There's a 12-year-old boy who wants to be in charge of my campaign. He's a friend, the child of the people we're visiting. So we go around town telling people, "Do you read Playgirl? Vote for Howie." That's the kind of level it's on. And I end up winning the contest. Now, I can't tell if it's an honest contest or not, but I don't care. I won.
It's cool.
Great. So what happens next? Well, they're going to give me a complete wardrobe, brand new complete wardrobe. Okay. They're going to get me an agent in Los Angeles. Okay. And they want to do a poster of me with the heart on. And they'll sell the posters and I'll get a percentage of that. And all these things they're going to do. None of which happen. I mean, they're really cheap. Playgirl's a very cheap magazine. They're over the counter, so it's not pornography, technically speaking. It's R-rated as opposed to X-rated. But I was the first one with a heart on. And what happened to them when that issue came out in December, November, whenever, their advertisers, almost all of them, said, "If you ever put another erect penis in your magazine, we're not going to advertise in its magazine anymore. We don't want an X-rated magazine. We want an R-rated magazine." And that's when the posters disappeared. The money from the poster disappeared. And, I had a year to make out of it whatever I wanted to make out of it. An interesting thing about the porn world, because they had told me no advertising in the porn magazines that you were in Playgirl. None, zero. And the very next week, out comes the Candy Stripers featuring Playgirl centerfold Dewey Alexander, which was one of my early porn names, was Dewey Alexander. I picked it myself. Dewey was for Huey, Dewey, and Louie, Donald Duck's nephew. And Alexander was Alexander the Great, a man who needed no introduction. So I was Dewey Alexander. And then I freaked out because Playgirl was my ticket to a straight career. Okay? Now I had risen all the way from the gutter to the curb. that's what Playgirl was. That was the curb. Now I wanted to go take the next step. And I didn't want porn to tie me to it. And I had used porn. I never used Howie Gordon in porn, ever. But right at that moment, I had just done Candy Goes to Hollywood. And when it came out, the one sheet says, Howie Gordon, Playgirl, centerfold. So I freaked out. And I went down to Caribbean Films. And I didn't know whether this was the mob or I knew nothing. Okay, I don't know L.A. at all. I don't know who's behind anything. I'm not friends with Sam yet. I got nobody on my side to help me navigate. And I went into their front door, and there's Bob Chin and some other schmuck. And I said, you used my real name in this movie. And they said, yeah, we thought you'd be happy. Happy? You got to retract all these. You got to pull these all back in. And they started laughing.
Sure.
They were laughing their heads off at me.
You signed a release, motherfucker.
I didn't even bother to say that. They just laughed at me. I said, yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Call us later.
And that's how I was, oh, I'm fucked. I'm fucked. You just got fucked. So.
Well, man, you're pretty good at hanging tight here. It's a long interview.
Oh, I enjoy your interest.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say for your audience, okay, that it's been fun being interviewed by this gentleman. But the truth is, in the little I've got to know about him, coming up to my house to do this and talking about his life, you will never find a better person to interview about the nature of this business from all the facets of performing, directing, business. He knows more about the business than I can't even dream of knowing. And he knows it for a much longer period of time than I do. This is the guy that should be in front of the camera talking about his career. It is amazing. And you can tell him Richard Pacheco said so.
That's very kind of you. Thank you. My last question is, could you describe your experience in the business in 2 words?
Utterly fantastic.
And with that, we say thank you very much. What's the French word? Adieu or something like that?
Adieu.
Adieu. And God bless the porno gods for giving us the chance.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard Pacheco.
Thank you, TTBoy.
We'll see you guys next time. TTBoy TV out.